to you, O earth and sea. The Winston sends the Blackdog with wrath, because he knows that time is short. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the Blackdog, for it is a sweary number. Its number is 200 and... Oh, for fuck's sake, are we not at 300 yet?
Hello and welcome to the Blackdog number 291. Wah.
Whoa.
God dear, am I on my own? Is this thing on? Hello? Oh dear, I know it's been a week or so since we've done the last one, but I thought, 290 other episodes might have given us a clue where we go in this kind of intro.
We're like the Star Trek crew in the original series, so very tired.
Nice. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to 291. I'm Lee.
I'm Darren.
I'm Jim.
I'm Elton.
Yes, and this week we continue what is now back to tradition of being our indeterminate weeks of horror, thanks to an unusual schedule. And yeah, we're doing the Omen. Rectum, recca much. Fuck 'em up, rectors, dominos. Yeah, sorry.
Come, baby, baby, come.
Come, baby, keepy, come. Sorry. Gregorian chants all the way. But first we'll have find out how everyone's week's been. And then we'll get on with this devilish... see what I did there? Devilish film. Oh, God, it's not going to get any better from me. You might as well just stop listening if that joke fell flat. So anyway, before we get going, we'll see how everyone's week has been, and we shall start with you, Jim. How's your week, sir?
I've been fairly busy. It's getting towards my busy time of the year, being the season of the dark arts, so much to do.
Yep.
I had a very, very nice weekend of overeating. I went out with Teresa for a meal for her birthday and had a very huge chef special steak.
Nice.
Prepared with Italian spicy pepper sauces. And then we had Sunday at my dad, it was more beef. And so on Monday, I flushed something away before it could start mooing.
Nice. Just pull its horns out, wipe its arsehole, just put it in a bun. Nice.
Yeah, his horns scraping down the porcelain.
Yeah, starting to sound like a farmyard in that toilet. Sorry, carry on.
Yes, other than that, what have I been doing? I can't remember. I'm getting old. No,
join the club.
I wasted a good deal of time as just on one of those things of, I really fancy playing that, but it's an old game. Can I get it to work? And I dusted off my copy of the original Sneak 'em Up. Thief, The Dark Project.
Oh, nice.
And found there's a modern day patch written.
Yeah.
Where you just bung in your original CD, install the game, bung this patch on. It puts on mouse wheel support, because coming out in 1999 is before mouse wheel support for changing your items and weapons was a thing. Nice. And also it made it perfect widescreen without me having to do a bloody thing. Oh. Everything works, everything plays. They've souped up the graphics a little bit. It looks lovely, plays like a dream. And so I've been at a few late nights sat up in the dark, crouched in a corner, crapping myself while several guards and ghosts and zombies wander around trying to hunt me down.
And what about playing the game?
Well, enough of the day job.
Yeah.
A bit of a busman's holiday, but there you go. But yes, I was really I was like, oh, brilliant, I can't believe, because every now and again, you really fancy playing an old game and having a look at it, and it's always usually a nightmare to get them to run on a modern system. But this, like, bing, bang, bong, done. thanks to a strong fan community, it's kind of, oh, right, oh, yes.
Yeah.
I can see a lot of time getting wasted on this because there's still a community writing fan-made levels
Nice.
for the game, and it's kind of, I did play quite a few of them back in the day, but I upgraded my computer, it wouldn't work as well, and that's kind of, although I'm wasting too much time staying up all night robbing people. So it's kind of, ooh, this could be a winter of thievery coming up.
Nice. So, God bless the modding communities. That's all I can say.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of, if you've got a good fan community, they will just, keep a game on track and running. And it's amazing the work people did. I mean, I know quite a few Thief fans ended up writing levels for Thief 1 and 2. And it kind of... it's good an old game like that still supported and still fun.
Oh, that's
and the levels are stupidly huge still.
Yeah, nice. So
I mean, I think if you've only ever grown up on the Xbox and the PlayStation, you might actually have a heart attack when you find out how big some of these levels are. They are brain-buggeringly huge. Yes, this is how it should be.
That's Thief Dark Project, yeah?
Yes, or rather, well, I've got Thief Gold, which has an extra four missions in it. Original 2 CDs, but it is on. I think Gold's on Good Old Games and it's on Steam. So
it certainly is. So I may actually look into that.
If Darren suddenly starts sounding like a Dalek, that's because his bandwidth's being sucked up while he's going to Good Old Game, downloading the game now.
Priorities.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Okay. Anything else, sir?
That'll do me, I think.
Okie dokie. I'll leave you huddling in a corner then. And what about you, Elton?
Okay, well, I started watching Westworld, which is just started on Sky Atlantic at the moment. I don't know, have any of you guys seen any of it yet?
Only the title sequence. That's it, really.
Okay, yeah. It's all right. I'm not impressed. I was expecting something amazing, as HBO normally do. I don't even know if it's HBO or not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. I'm gonna give it maybe 1 or 2 more episodes and then see where I am. Really, I think a show really should catch on the first episode, and if it doesn't, then really it's its own fault. And this time round, I haven't been caught.
Yeah. Well, some of that stuff is obviously down to things like, that, especially with HBO, they just sort of, they know that they've got people for the long game now. They don't just do like a quick, this is your episode, this is your introduction pilot, and let's get on with it. They tend to go, well, you know what? This doesn't matter now. We know you're going to be here in 6 seasons' time, and you're paying subscription, so ta-da! Yeah.
No, I understand that. Apart from that, what did I had Andy pop up for a size-in on his suit that I'm building him, his Mass Effect suit, and he told me not to mention walking around my front room in Lycra, so I won't mention that whatsoever.
Okay, so we...
I thought you named him for convenience then by calling him Andy Pop-Up.
I was going to say, how tight was that Lycra suit? No, we won't mention that at all. No.
Never mention that
No,
whatsoever.
we shall never mention him in his morph suit. Did you get photos?
No, never mention little Andy either. No.
My kids went out and his kids came in.
Did you see his Mass Effect?
Oh,
he's gonna love this segment.
He's probably blushing right now.
No, he's probably.
Oh, Andy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you are.
Well, I might be meeting him for lunch in the next couple of days, so he's probably going to punch me in the face. That's fine.
Lovely.
Lovely. So nice.
And what else? I also got my car back today. This is an ongoing thing. I've briefly mentioned it on here prior to this. I think the last time I had my car was at the end of May.
Right.
This brand new car that I bought.
Oh, God. Was that the one that you pranged right at the beginning without after having it for like a day or something?
I didn't prang it. No, it's just gone wonky.
Just go home, right?
Yeah, it's the first car I've bought privately. I ain't doing that again.
No.
And yeah, cheers for that. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I think I'm about $3,000 lighter as well.
Did you buy it off the same person who sold me that Starbird box?
It
on
could
eBay?
possibly be. Maybe he's doing the rounds. He'll be selling Darren fake beards later.
Yeah, hipster glasses.
Yeah, and baseball caps.
Won't be selling me none of that shit. Thank you very much.
Just prod the bear, stand well back. It's nearly fireworks night. Just light blue touch paper and retreat to a safe distance. So
I'm like $3,000 lighter at the moment. So it's all going really well at the moment. 2016 can fuck right off as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I was going to say I think the year end episode is going to be basically everyone just saying 2016 can just do one and just wrapping it up there.
I feel like this must be like a coming to an end of season HBO program, because at the end of it, Donald Trump gets elected president of the United States, and then end scene. That's it.
That's right. Yeah, we'll all be in the pub as it comes up on the telly, and it will just cut. There'll be All Along the Watchtower playing, and it'll just cut between all four of us just looking up at the telly.
Well, I think it's now a race between us getting to episode 300 and the Americans and the Russians blowing shit out of one another. So it's either us first at 300 or the apocalypse.
I know which one's my money's on.
Yeah, I know. I've started digging my shelter as well.
I've got tins
up on those baked beans.
I was going to say I got tins of Spam from 2007 stuck in a cupboard. Nice. Oh dear. So your car's back though. Is it working?
It's back. It's working. And we'll be selling it straight away.
Nice. For $3,000.
Oh, don't. Fucking hell.
Oh dear.
Take me back to my happy place, crying out loud.
Okay, sorry. Well, let's take you to the happy place by going to the most miserable man on the planet, and by that I mean Darren.
Well, thanks for that. Yeah, you better get that. You better get the fucking music queued up.
Really? Oh, blimey!
Yeah.
Hold on, hang about. God, I don't know why I don't cue this up every time. It's just I should just have this automatic.
It's my theme tune. Do it.
Oh God, it should just be a bloody just hot link on my desktop. Hold on.
I feel like Darren's gonna have a run up this week, isn't he?
Is he?
It feels like he's limbering up for a run up.
Yeah,
on Grumpy Old Man Week.
Yeah. Oh, is that coming back? Hold on. Look, I'm buying time for the 10-hour version.
Well, what I was gonna save this for the Shonky Lab, but it's kind of like, no, fuck it. I'm gonna do it now.
No,
okay.
do it now.
Okay,
Definitely
hold on.
now.
Let me get the volume
It's just
down.
a couple of things to complain about. That's all.
Go on in. Here we go.
Excellent. Okay, so as is becoming tradition for me when I go up to central London, I take a trip into Forbidden Planet and go and have a look around.
Forbidden Profits.
So two things kind of caught my attention that I think they've slowly been becoming annoying in the background there of my head. James Bond box sets. What is the fucking point? The James Bond fucking box set? Seriously, people, have you not fucking seen the trick yet? Why do you keep fucking buying them? There'll be another one out next year or the year after that, right? Another film, right? Which is going to spoil the perfect box set. Okay? It's got a shelf life of until the next one comes out. And you're going to look at that and think, oh, I've wasted all my fucking money. I could have been buying food or electricity for my house, or maybe, I don't know, clothes for the kids. You know? Because they've gone and bought another fucking one out. And so I've now got to put like a Blu-ray next to the fucking box set, which now makes it look a bit uneven. Unless it is, I take it apart and try and extend it a little bit. You see? Maybe that's what they should do. Maybe they should actually sell you a box for these things that's about 45 fucking foot long, right? just so you can put the other fucking Blu-rays in there. Now, I mean, I'm not having to go at the people that make the box sets, because all power to them, because they know that people out there are basically stupid and they'll just buy these fucking things. What is the fucking point? Another thing as well, right? Fucking special edition Monopoly sets. What is the fucking... It's the same fucking game. That's it, right? You don't get anything special. There's no special cards or anything, right? Just because it's Game of Thrones doesn't mean it's a totally new game. It's Monopoly. It's like Risk as well.
Still a fight in a box.
Yeah. What was it? Fucking Star Wars Risk, fucking Walking Dead Risk. It's all the same fucking game. Why do you bother? Football games. They're all the same thing as well. Why do you bother? Why do you bother buying them? Right? There's not like a new story or anything. You get any DLC, it's, oh, look, it's another team. Yeah, brilliant.
I believe the difference is some players will have gone to jail or at least be on trial every year.
Oh, well, maybe they could sort of like have those bits in there as well. Oh, maybe we could have sort of like, I don't know, mini games,
Side missions.
Sort of Side missions, yeah. Can you avoid getting arrested for doing something dodgy?
Yeah. Yeah, can you rope the rest of the team into an illicit gang rape? And try and avoid the local newspapers and the constabulary. Oh,
Grand Theft Auto hot coffee again, isn't it?
No. We're going to get in so much trouble for that comment. Anyway, anything else, Darren?
I'll keep my remarks about wanting to prosecute a certain footballer's parents to get the truth of why do they call him Ched. Well, they're going for Edward, and there's a disastrous typo.
Chedwood. I'll tell you what. I'm going to give Darren. You got any more for this? Because
no, I've done my moaning. Apart from maybe having a go at the makers of fucking tissues.
Oh, go on. Here we go.
Makers of fucking tissues. But this week, I sat on a train, and this is where I knew I was ill. Okay. Yeah. I sat there on a train, and I feel a particularly big sneeze coming on. Right, a particularly wet sneeze.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So I go.
Was it a nasal sneeze? Can I just clarify?
Yeah, it's a nasal sneeze. This is
I was knocking one out when.
No,
so they call them man-sized tissues.
Yeah. No, I don't masturbate on a train. I leave that for the waiting rooms. But anyway, so I'm sat on a train, and I feel this particularly. It's like I'm getting the sniffles now. It's like the nose is running. I can feel it building up. It's like, oh, this is going to be an Armageddon style sneeze in a minute. Yeah. So I get a proper tissue out. It's none of this fucking cheap and cheerful Tesco's 50p for 400 packets job. That have got like one ply tissue.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. They're as thin as gossamer. They're just nothing. No, this is a proper Kleenex 3-ply. Run a truck into it and it'll bounce off type tissue, or so I thought.
Yeah.
I take a sneeze, and the sneeze, including the contents, go straight through the fucking tissue, right onto my bag, while I'm on a crowded fucking train. I'm sat there. It's like that scene from Ghostbusters where Bill Murray gets done by Slimer. It's all over the place.
So, are you gonna...
I'm not looking at anybody in the eye while I'm clearing this up, by the way. Not looking in the eye at all.
Are you gonna
fuck you, all right? Fuck them all. What's the point? They're all the same. They're not any different. They're all the same packet.
You are the subject of many. Guess what I saw this morning on the train stories.
Yeah.
It looked
There's
like
a lot of fucking Twitter feeds.
It looked like the alien hive.
Yep.
Cat's cradle.
Nice.
I just pretended like it was a natural thing. Tidied it up. Away. That's it.
Put it away.
Well, it's like I've got a new bag now because it's got a brand new pattern on it. It's fabulous.
Yeah, looks like it's covered in veins. It looks like you've taken an organ out.
I prefer to call it tie dye. That's what it's like now.
Tie dye? What colour is your snot?
No, that's what it's done to the bag. So,
What?
you know,
What's it made of? Acid?
I was particularly ill that day.
Right.
So there we go. Okay, that's the ranting over and done with now.
Lovely.
Yep.
I don't know how to follow that.
But don't you want to know what I've been doing this week?
What? That wasn't it.
No, that wasn't it.
Oh, for God's sake.
I had to vent.
All right.
I
Okay.
had no one to punch in the face on the way home. So, you know, this is it.
Okay.
No old people to fucking clothesline. You know, nothing like that. So,
Okay.
Darren, can I ask,
yes,
how many times have you bought the James Bond box set?
I've not bought them at all.
Oh.
At all. Right? And you see
About
that
7.
any ongoing fucking series of anything, right? Okay, don't buy the fucking box set.
Right.
Flogging a dead horse. Do you know what? I'll let you get on with it. I'm going to shut up now.
No. Go on. Have you got anything? You got something else? Yeah.
Well, just stuff.
Okay.
That's all. Started watching, and this is the happy stuff now.
Yeah.
Although probably not thinking about the subject matter. Started watching Man in a High Castle.
Oh my God.
Which, you know, happy subject about
Nazis,
the
everybody.
Nazis actually winning World War II and taking over the world. So, yeah, good show. Very good. Highly recommend it. I'm on about episode 4 at the minute, and yeah, really, really getting into it.
Nice. Anything else?
Let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, watched. I'm part way through it, watching a really fucking weird movie at the moment called Valhalla Rising.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Is it Mick Mickelson or Mags Mikkelsen?
Mads
Whatever.
Mikkelsen,
Bloke who's
yeah.
in. Sorry,
Yeah. Mads Mikkelsen.
that's the one. Him, who just plays this bloke who just doesn't say anything in this film. It's just, it doesn't fuck about. The violence in it is just like, you know, you sit there and ooh ah. It's that kind of thing. He plays this. You're not quite sure what he is, whether he's a Viking, whether he's a Highlander or what. But he's like he's been held by this Scottish tribe, and they use him for fights, to win fights, to get stuff, and it's him slowly getting his freedom, beating people up, just in the worst possible way. And now he's on his way. I think he's on his way to the Middle East, to the Crusades. And that's as far as I've got
Just
so
for
far.
a change of scenery.
Just for a change of scenery, yeah. But it's hardly fuck all said throughout the entire film so far.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I'll let you know how that turns out next week.
Okie dokie. That sounds good. I might just fade this out now. This is lovely theme tune. There you go.
Get rid of that now.
Yeah, get rid of that. Okay, fine. In which case, my week's not been nearly as rant filled. Well, it has, but I'm gonna not bore you with endless conversations of boring stuck-up twats in work. It is quite funny though when people try to get all threatening, and I've kind of got a a long history of media people who make shouting and ranting at you an art, and getting very cross at the drop of a hat, and then all of a sudden you get someone come over to you in an Aaron jumper going, "So where are we?" It's like, yeah, you mate, you don't even score on the scale of threatening. So I basically just turned around and went, "You're standing there, I'm sitting here," and put my headphones on and just ignored him for 10 minutes. Fucking twat wants to play with me. But then moving on from that, I've had a bit of a movie binge over the last couple of days. I've seen The Girl with All the Gifts, which is basically it's a zombie movie. Which, have you read it? You've read it, Dal, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I've read it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have you seen the film?
No.
Okay.
And from what I'm hearing about it, there's kind of stuff that's in the book that's not in the film.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I consider to be quite sort of, well, that was actually quite important. Actually, it was actually quite good. Why have you not put that in the movie?
Because the movie's kind of about an hour and 50 long. But I looked it up on Wikipedia, and the stuff that was missing didn't seem to matter to me. But I haven't really read the book proper. I mean, I watched it without any idea of what it's all about, and all I thought was, oh, that's The Last of Us, the video game on the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. And then I was watching it with Andy, and we were like so utterly depressed come the finale. I mean, it's for people who think The Road is kind of like a sort of regular rewatch.
I would have to say The Road is worse.
Yeah, The Road is worse, but I mean, to be quite honest, you still come away with a feeling of the world is just the worst. and so, like, yeah, me and Andy just sort of came out the cinema and went, oh God. Went and sat in the pub for like 30 minutes, like just not saying a word, just nursing our drinks, going, oh, so depressed.
I did want to see it, but for some reason they weren't. I missed it because I was expecting it to come on at the O2 because they showed the adverts for it, and they didn't. They didn't show it at all for some reason. I don't understand it.
It's still at the Empire. But yeah, I thought it was a very good film. It's just not a film to go and see if you're in any kind of down mood whatsoever. You will be in a throw yourself under the bus feeling by the end of it. So what we did then was we went to the pub for 30 minutes and then came back into the cinema and watched The Magnificent Seven.
That was one film I watched. Yes, sorry, I forgot about that. But go on, carry on.
Yeah,
carry
okay.
on.
Well, I mean, we watched it. It's an okay film. It was certainly a much needed antidote after The Girl with All the Gifts. It was the tonal whiplash nearly broke my neck. I mean, it was like, 1 minute you're sort of like, oh, it's so grim and dark and nasty and grim, and then all of a sudden it's like, here we are, we're all playing cowboys, pew pew pew. The only problem I had with it was it was such a cliche all the way through that you suddenly thought, well, cool, okay, you want to be a cliche, just go the whole hog and get this whole thing over and done with in an hour and a half. Don't have another 40 minutes of kind of sort of mulling around the sort of the town just being all grim and gritty. If you're all going to go into sort of Benny Hill comedy fighting at the end. At one point, as Andy pointed out, I was expecting Slim Pickens to come out from round the corner and go, screw you, I work for Mel Brooks, and start punch up and then end up in a fist fight. So that was a bit cliche. It wasn't bad. It was time waster, and it was certainly much needed after Girl with All the Gifts, but it was, it weren't all that. I weren't,
I really liked it.
I must. Yeah, go on.
It was a really, I thought, even though, it was incredibly cliche the entire film. Yeah. It was just like, I don't know, I just found it a really kind of enjoyable, light-hearted little romp, really. It was, the standard tropes were there, and it was just like, this is like some of those really good old westerns that I used to watch.
Yeah, which is fine, and I got that, and I like that. But the problem is that about midway through, once they've sort of done we're establishing ourselves in the town, all of a sudden it's like this like 30 minutes of just doing fuck all, and you think, okay, if it was just got rid of that bit, then just went straight on to here comes another bunch of bad guys, and here comes the boss, and here comes the big gunfight. I think I would have been happier, but it just felt like it went on a little bit long for me. But not as long as my third film, which was Suicide Squad. You see, because I thought, you know what? I'm far enough away from the hype now. I've not seen or heard. I don't follow people who just sit there constantly going, "Oh, Harley Quinn's the best. Harley Quinn's the best. Harley Quinn's the best." On Facebook and all that kind of shit. I've just had enough of all those people, so I just kind of, I'm not unfriended them, but I've just kind of unfollowed them. And if you just got one thing to say on Facebook over and over again for 6 months, I'm not going to be following you for very long. And then, I sort of thought, I sat down and watched it. I thought I'd sit there with Katie, she wanted to see it, and we sat there and watched it. Fuck me, it's boring. It's just the most boring film I've watched in a long time. So much is happening on screen, and yet so little do I care. It's not as bad as Batman vs. Superman, but fucking hell, it's boring. And Jared Leto as the Joker Who thought he was a good idea? He literally wanders around like someone who's just bitten into a hot chili that they're not used to. His idea is just to kind of walk around and have his mouth kind of sort of... If you just hold your mouth kind of vaguely open and you don't slap your lips together or anything, you're like a really bad ventriloquist act. That's him. He does kind of, his mouth open like that all the time. And
if someone pushed him into a pane of glass, he'd be like Garfield, wouldn't he?
Well, if someone pushed... Yeah, he'd be like one of those Garfield toys. You just go... Just stick on it like a fucking sucker. And everything about that film just bored me. I mean, it did 3 fucking recounts of one person's backstory. And I won't spoil it if you want to watch it, but fuck me, don't bother. But every backstory happened once with someone going, oh, this is so-and-so, he can climb walls. This is so-and-so, he can throw a boomerang. This is so-and-so, he can shoot things. This is so-and-so, she's got a baseball bat and she's a bit nuts. And then all of a sudden you're right, okay, fine. And then about 10, 20 minutes into the mission, they're like, what happened to you? Well, I climbed walls. Well, I shot things. Well, I hit someone with a baseball bat. It's like, hold on, we just seen this. And then later on, one guy does the same flashback for a 3rd time as some kind of meaningful, you never knew my backstory, I'm going to tell you. While telling you, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to have this big close-up on my face and I'm going to tell you my backstory. And I'm sitting there going, I fucking know this. I've literally watched this same scene from a different perspective twice till I got to you. And now we're 40 fucking minutes in. And this superhuman team, which features only one superhuman, it must be said, they're formed to fight the theoretical evil Superman. This bunch can't even fight a fucking army of people. Just normal people. They get caught by Batman, one of them. And it's just like, the whole premise is completely flawed. And then on top of that, it's like, yeah, well, we got the Suicide Squad because then if there's something goes horribly wrong, we can throw them under the bus and no one gets hurt because we won't lose anyone and we don't care. Except for the fact that the entire mission takes place with the Suicide Squad and a fucking squadron of Marines to go in with them. It's like, yeah, the Suicide Squad and 40 Marines. Oh, well, I'm so glad we aren't wasting any Marines. Oh, except they're all fucking dead. Right, okay, well, brilliant. Well done that job. And it's like, so what? So if an evil Superman was to appear, how would these guys take it down? A bloke with a boomerang, a bloke who shoots bullets, a woman with a baseball bat, a guy who supposedly can climb ropes, though he literally only only appears in it for like 15 seconds. A guy who can set fires to stuff. So, hang on. So you got a pyromaniac, a guy who throws a boomerang, a guy who shoots, a woman with a baseball bat, a soldier. Oh, and a crocodile. It's like, could any of them take down Superman? They couldn't even take down Batman.
Actually,
go on.
Actually,
yeah.
They have the Enchantress, right?
The one person on their team who actually becomes the villain.
Yeah, but she could actually take down Superman because Superman's not good against magic. That's his weakness.
Right.
When it comes to
what you're saying is Suicide Squad is actually one person plus a bunch of others who just happen to be there.
Yeah, they've they not only is she a great sort of like a great magic user, she's also disco dancing champion.
Yeah,
2015.
Yeah, and she has the strangest voice. Hello, I'm the Enchantress. I think
look at me do my body popping. Yeah. Look.
Watch as I pop and lock. And, they're all magical and indestructible except for when someone decides to hit them with a sword. And it's just ludicrous turd of a movie. It's not bad. It's just boring. And as soon as it gets so boring, you're sitting there picking holes in it. You're just like, I literally sat there and I had 15 different points where I'm like, what is this all about? Why am I watching this crap? And it was just like, got to the very end of it. I looked at Katie. I went, is that, you wanted to see it. What did you think? She went, I wouldn't watch it again. And I'm like, yep, there you go. I mean, Harley Quinn, there's a scene where Harley Quinn and Will Smith appears out of nowhere. And they've just been introduced to the 40 Marines that obviously don't need to go in with them, but are going in with them. And they stand up, and it's like the world's worst street magic. These two guys Harley Quinn and Will Smith's character stand up, and they're going, oh, yeah, you want some of this? And she's like, I can be a bit vexing. And she's kind of mugging around. And all these Marines are just staring, blank-faced. You just got a wall of them. And I thought, if that wasn't a representation of the movie and the audience, I don't know what is. You just sitting there watching them, just going, "What are you doing? Oh, is this supposed to make you look bad or evil or what?" And everyone's just looking at them, and she's kind of flexing about with her tongue in a sort of like Miley Cyrus as it stood in the middle of a fucking Avon counter that's exploded, and she's going, yeah, yeah, looking at all these bites, and you're like, and they're all just looking at her like, what? And I'm like, what? And do you know what? The best bit of acting was by her hot pants, which managed to stay on her bottom no matter what she did. Because everything else about that performance was so ripe, it could have fucking turned a whole bunch of bananas from green to yellow overnight. And like I say, Will Smith in his super duper I can shoot anything from any angle bloke. I mean, it's like, yeah, okay, fine. And 5 minutes into it, we see these horrible, monstery sort of henchman dudes, and the main character, one of them goes, oh yeah, you can't bring them down, not even with headshots. And he basically spends the rest of the film headshotting them.
Yeah.
It was tedious. It was fucking tedious. And then I say that on Facebook, and suddenly out of the woodwork comes, well, you should wait for the Ultimate Edition. No, I should fucking not wait for the Ultimate Edition. I'm not going to wait for another 25 minutes of a film where the last hour and 50 has bored the bollocks off me. Another 30 minutes of that shit ain't going to make anything, unless it turns out to be a completely different movie, or 30 minutes of Rick and Morty stuck in the middle of it. There you go. Weren't impressed. Suicide Squad. Do check it out. Anyway, shall we do this week's movie?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
The Omen. I don't know why I said it like that.
Eccentric performance.
Right, okay, so The Omen, part of our 250,000 weeks of horror. Let's see what we've got here on the old Wikipedia. Yes, The Omen is a 1976 American-British supernatural horror film directed by Richard Donner, who went on to do Superman, and written by David Seltzer, and the film starring Gregory Peck and Lee Remick, David Warner, Harvey Stevens, who me and you went to school with, Dow.
Yes, we certainly did.
Yeah, Billy Whitelaw, Patrick Troughton, who we didn't go to school with, and Leo McKern. The first instalment of the Omen series, the film concerns a small child adopted at birth by American Ambassador Robert Thorne, unbeknownst to his wife after their son is stillborn. They are surrounded by mysterious and ominous deaths, unaware that the child is, in fact, the Antichrist. like you do. Released theatrically in June 1976, The Omen received acclaim from critics and was a commercial success, grossing how much? Darren?
I'd say 60 million.
Okay. Jim?
80 million?
Okay. Elton?
40 million.
Darren was bang on the money with 60 million.
Woo!
Woo! You get a lollipop.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, at the box office and becoming one of the highest grossing films of 1976. The film earned 2 Academy nominations, including Best Original Score for Jerry Goldsmith, which was his only Oscar win. A scene from the film appeared in number 16 of Bravo's 100 Scariest Moments, and the film spawned a franchise including Damien, The Omen 2, which was released 2 years later. So, let's just get on with it. Who has never seen this film before?
I have seen it before. I didn't really remember much of it, though.
Right, okay, so shall we count that as not seeing it, and so you go first?
Yeah, why not?
Go for it.
Okay, right. Going into The Omen, I recognise and remember certain scenes. I think I remember talking to you guys before it when I suggested The Omen and said, is that the one where he gets his head cut off with a pane of glass?
Yeah, a glass of pain.
A glass of pain.
Works both ways for me.
Shit.
Well, it is the glass of pain, really, isn't it? When you think about
it is.
So,
Jump around.
Jump around.
Jump around. Jump up, get that down. Jump. Oh, carry on.
Maybe he should have jumped. Right. The problem with this, we are supposed to be taking our rose-tinted specs off and trying to dive into this and analyze it, I suppose. Analyze it.
Analyze
would
it.
even be a better word, wouldn't it? Than analyze it. What the fuck?
And that's
Jesus
all
Christ.
for tonight. I think Elton's had enough time
I think
for bed.
all the blood has gone to my stomach where I'm still digesting my food. Oh,
Not roast
shit.
potatoes. Was it a roast
No.
potato heavy?
No, it's not. It's fucking clearly not this. Really badly not. And disappointingly not as well.
Okay.
I hope the next two are going to be scary. Hello?
Nah. I think this might be the weakest of the horror film seasons we've ever had,
Oh, nut.
to be honest. But anyway, carry on.
Right. Yeah, I took the rose-tinted specs off to try and give it a really good going and seeing over. It is a good movie per se. But what I got from it really isn't the film that you're led to believe it is.
Yeah.
And I had visions of being terrified of this child and worrying about it and then looking at my own kids. Oh, really? What's that little glint in his eye? Oh, my God. Maybe he's the devil as well. But no, it never really materialized. This is just a film of unfortunate happenings. This isn't the devil at work. This is just Frank Spencer Jr. And really not that bad.
I'm now desperately trying to Google up heavy metal. Some others do have them. Go on, carry on.
Well, it just doesn't stand up, I don't think. There's lots of stuff with the animals. I like the idea of animals being wound up and feeling endangered around this child.
you like to wind up animals?
No.
You said you like the idea of winding up animals. I'm getting on the phone to the fucking RSPCA now.
That's
That's it.
No, I just walk around with a laser pen, that's all.
blinding animals as he drives
No,
past.
not blinding them, just, it's all going hideously wrong.
Your history's greatest monster, Elton.
Yeah,
Those
Elf.
Venus flytraps, now the animals.
Yeah. Fuckers killing everything.
Just want to go London Zoo and go into the polar bear enclosure with the laser pointer and see if they just chase that fucker around.
I bet.
Have you had your head checked for numerals?
I bet you actually were the one who shot Harambe, the gorilla, weren't you? That was you.
No.
No, you just threw the kid in.
I was the one that let the gorilla out at the London Zoo recently as well.
Sitting there with your newly minted tranquilizer dart. Yeah. Right, okay.
Right, well, yes. Where did I get to?
I think
it's okay. The scenes with the animals and such. It's just it doesn't work for me. This kid's just looking out the window, and all these monkeys are attacking a car. Isn't that what they do anyway?
it is.
Drive into.
Here's what baboons do. I have it on authority from people who worked in Africa. Even animal lovers are of the opinion baboons are fuckers who should be shot on sight.
Exactly.
Because they will wreck your car.
Nice.
But I wouldn't expect to have any hubcaps left or any windscreen wipers or radio aerial left on my car driving through one of these places anyway. And they seem really pissed off that this kid is looking at them and they go, oh my fucking God, he's a kid. No, it's not the fucking kid. It's just monkeys. It's just whatever they are around there. It's fuck off. He's not fucking Dr. Dolittle. It doesn't work that way. And then when the mum accidentally falls off the banister, that is just fucking Frank Spencer if ever I saw it. The kid was just pedaling down there and just was clumsy. He was a bit clumsy. They want to murder this kid for being slightly clumsy. Fuck off. No. And then it turns into a detective movie halfway through. Where the fuck did that come from? I'm really sorry. I wasn't expecting that. It just, no, it really pissed me off.
You wanted an evil kid movie,
Yeah.
didn't you?
I did. I wanted the Antichrist coming out of this child. I wanted to fear this child. I did not get any fear from this child. I was more worried about sharp edges that he might bash himself on. It's bollocks. I'm really, really disappointed in this. It is hyped up as one of the greatest and scariest movies. I even had my parents over here the other day, and I said, "Oh look, I've watched that. Do you want to borrow it and watch The Omen?" And they went, "Oh no, definitely not watching that. Oh no, it creeps me out." But watch it again, and you'll see that it's just fucking crap. I'm actually nearly tearing my eyes out of this. Fucking hell.
That's the second film, though, isn't it, with the crows?
Yeah. Oh. There was. Well, okay. There was some terrible fucking sets, i.e., the cemetery, and then they find the child's body. Oh, Jesus Christ! Fucking hell! How old has this child been dead for? It would be a pile of goo under there. It wouldn't be just bones.
No, it depends on the actual conditions of the ground, to be honest.
Okay.
I know more about this stuff than you want to know, really. Don't go there.
Yeah, I was going to say, when Jim speaks up with this sort of stuff with authority, I find usually it's best just to go, and just not take your mind's eye down that particular path.
When he starts recommending quicklime as well, you know, and stuff like this.
I'll tell you where Fred West went wrong. Like, fuck. Sorry.
No, I'm backing out of that one straight away. Don't worry. But the very poor set that they're on there as well just takes you straight out of it. There was a good scene where you have the nanny pop up behind the mother before she falls out the window. Clumsy again, by the way. When the nanny pops up and the music really works so well, and the glint in her eye, and you have such a good scene where you have the glint in the eye, the music building up, but then it's like a female versus female, a woman in peril from another woman. And that, you don't get that a lot, really, do you? And that worked really, really well. But then, she falls, and then it's just fucking Frank Spencer again. She falls on top of the ambulance, and then the doors open, and the camera zooms in on her face, and she all flopped over. And, oh, fuck off. All you're waiting for is at the end of it. It's fucking terrible.
Harry Hill going, "You've been framed, you can get 250 quid.
Jeremy Beadle opens the doors.
Okay.
I'm really, really disappointed with this. One other chilling scene. Okay, number one, the dog.
Yes.
When he's stalking around the house and you can hear his breath and the music's just ever so slightly in the background, and the dad, I can't remember the name of the dad now, Robert.
Yeah.
He's walking around the house and he's trying to avoid the dog. And then he all of a sudden traps the dog downstairs in the cellar. I thought that worked really, really well. But I question anyone who would take one of them stray dogs in and then just let it roam around the house within a week. It just boggles my mind. I'm so disappointed with this. I feel we're either going to get a wave of people really loving it and hyping up beyond recognition, or they're going to be on my side of the fence where they're just lambasting it and it's just really not as good as what is really hyped up to be.
Cool. Okay. Well, we're off to a flyer. So can I ask? Because I feel it's tradition now. How many roast potatoes?
Roast potato. You may be surprised with this.
Yes.
The nurse bit was kind of creepy. I will give it 2 for that.
2 roast potatoes.
For that scene alone. And then that's it.
Right. Okay.
That's it. You're not getting any more because it's just... I'm really disappointed in this. I'm really actually fucked off with myself for putting this
that's
one
gonna
up.
say you picked it.
Yeah. It's got that history with it as well, isn't it? And where you add the religious aspect to a film, I really like that, and it adds a lot of weight to movies normally. This, it just didn't do it. And once they go on fucking buddy cop movie scene, it just doesn't. It just loses all momentum that it tried to build up. It's just fucking no. Fuck off. Stupid film.
Not impressed then?
No, not one fucking bit. If I had holy water, I wouldn't even throw it on it because it wouldn't fucking work on it because it's not even worth it. Stupid.
Well, there you go. So, counterpoint, Mr. Jim.
Okay. Now, so, as I said last time we met before, I've said long history with this film of what I remember. It seemed to be a thing on ITV. They showed The Omen, and the week after they showed Damien the Omen 2. And then they did it. They did that double bill again just before the third one came out at the cinema.
Yeah,
and then they did it again when they got the TV rights to show the final conflict and showed all 3 in 3 consecutive weeks.
Yeah,
and I say it was one of those films that was the talk of the playground. Now, personally, I never really. I've had The Omen in kind of my list of scariest films. It was always more one of those horror films which you watch and it's kind of like, did you see that guy's head get cut off by that pane of glass?
Yeah.
It was it's a roller coaster rather than a ghost train, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thrill ride. And it's kind of, when I kind of revisited it, when because they brought out this nice box set with all 3 films and a strange coaster they put in for some reason. There isn't a 4th film in this franchise. It's a TV movie. It does not count. It's awful, really awful. But when I visited, I thought, well, actually, this is actually a 70s thriller with satanic overtones and sort of set piece deaths. And so watching it again this time, it was that's sort of how the film sort of works for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's well put together. I think kind of part of the thing with the Omen is it has this kind of all-star cast. And when they remade it a few years ago, I mean, the remake, it wasn't a terrible film. It was competently done.
Yeah.
But what really struck me was his kind of, Robert Thorne was a young pretty boy. And he just didn't have that kind of magnetism and gravitas that Gregory Peck has. I can't remember. I think it's Pete Postlethwaite plays the priest, and he does well, but he doesn't have that demented quality Patrick Troughton brings to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I still had have a lot of fun with this film. Although I'd say when I first saw it on DVD, and I couldn't help noticing it this time, it's kind of you really do notice that cemetery set is a soundstage really badly now, thanks to the wonders of pinch-up Craigie vision.
Yeah.
But, this is, it's well the other side of our Jurassic Park cutoff point.
Yes.
And, I still think it's kind of... I just really, I do just really enjoy it as a good bit of sort of hokum, as it were. You know what I mean? It's, I think kind of there's still a few things in it that sort of, I think there's some ideas that are scary that it doesn't really exploit.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, you get that more in the sequel, that the idea of Damien is a force of evil. And you get that more in the second one when he realizes who he is.
Yeah.
In this case, he's all just acting around him, and he doesn't know what he is. Yeah. And it's also, you get it more developed in sort of the third one. It's the idea of the kind of, one man can spell doom for us all.
Yeah.
And that's the two sort of scary things. The sequels elaborate that more. The idea of somebody who is just born bad. And this sort of film, I mean, it does work quite well. I think the third one is the weakest, but it is a good film trilogy in that respect, because this film does act as a lot of foreshadowing to the later ones. And things like the animals is a kind of, there's something wrong with this fucking kid. Animals really don't like him, apart from that creepy fucking dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I still think it's well done. I enjoy it. I say it's never really been on my top 10 list of scariest films, but on sort of fun films. I mean, I think The Omen has this reputation because it had like this A-list cast, like the likes of Gregory Peck in it. It was a horror film that mainstream audiences went to see. It's a horror film that got like a prestigious kind of showing on TV in the 80s, where a lot of people caught it. Whereas, say, if it had, say, I don't know, a horror name in it, say like Vincent Price or Christopher Lee being bunged on in the graveyard, oh, that's a horror film, and we won't watch that. But it's a film with Gregory Peck. We'll watch this. Yeah, and they get they get people struck by lightning, you get killer dog attacks, you get evil kids, you get murder, and you get a bloke's head being cut off with a pane of glass.
Yeah,
which I still think is a brilliant, brilliant scene. They have the 3-camera setup.
Yeah,
and it's just one of those bits of lightning in a bottle. The way they cut that together, and the way that the fake head does a full somersault over the pane of glass. That's cinematic magic for me. Keep your Citizen Kane. Give me David Warner getting his head cut off any day of the week.
it is definitely one of those of its moment sort of scenes where, you know, a bit like the head explosion in Scanners.
Yes, yeah.
Once you see it, you kind of go, and then everything changes from there on in. Yeah. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, Jim. It was just.
Yeah, it's one of those. Actually, watching it this time, I was actually not surprised, but it did strike me. Actually, there's not as many set piece deaths as they are. It was something they really went overboard, not overboard, but they really amped up in the sequels. But it also struck me, it's this really did pave the way for stunt deaths in not just horror films, but in just any films with a gore or a violence quotient from the 80s onwards. If you could do one of these set piece deaths,
yeah,
you know what I mean. It's kind of
yeah. Was it? I mean, Final Destination built an entire film series off of that.
Well, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, do you think it still holds up for you? I mean, or is it just a kind of watch it and just enjoy it for what it is kind of movie?
Yeah, I think it holds up for me. But as I say, I have seen it for quite a while, for years, as more of a series, a 70s thriller than a horror film, sort of out and out. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You know, it's kind of one of those sort of. It sits on a genre, the boundaries of the genre, as it were.
Yeah,
and and that's well and good. And when you've got a good cast and some good set pieces, it works well enough, I think.
Yeah, but will you watch it again? Is the question.
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean, I've been meaning to stick on Damien Omen too because I enjoy. I'll have to do the rest of the trilogy now.
That's it. Yeah. Okie dokie. Cool. Right. Well, then, what about you, Mr. Barnard? How's it going with you? This film?
Let's see now. I think I might have seen this film one too many times.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really enjoy it as much as I should have on this viewing. I think I was just about to fall ill just before we watched this, so I think my patience was pretty thin. So really, it kind of seemed to drag a little as I was watching it. I remember, I remember enjoying watching this, like, anticipating the deaths, especially the pane of glass scene. The pane in the glass. There we go. We'll have that. So, yeah, even that was kind of like,
Okay.
I don't know what it was. It just didn't seem to do it for me this time.
Okay. So nothing about it at all, or just that was it?
Well, there is as has been mentioned about the fact that, this woman turned up without, the first question should be, after, your other half turns to you and says, well done for sorting her out, and you turn around and go like, well, I didn't actually call her. The first thing you do is you call the police, right?
Yes.
Right, and you don't let her like, oh, well, there you go. It's just likely she happened to turn up then. No.
Well, no, she says the agency sent me.
The agency, the mysterious agency.
Yeah.
But then
they go, oh, of course. Because, they are diplomats who don't do fuck all for themselves, I imagine. Judging by the house they live in. But it's one of those things, oh, yes, the little people sorted it out. They've got a replacement nanny.
Well, I suppose you could that, but it's kind of like...
Because Gripek is going to ask her, and she says, the agency sent me. She goes, oh, well, that's fine. So they do actually address that.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of like he turns to her, his wife, he turns to Lee Remick and says, well done on getting that sorted. And she said, well, I didn't. And so it's like, there is obviously from that, I guess they would have to initiate that. So it's like, this is worrying, Also, bringing the stray dog in as well,
Yeah.
It's like, and her, well, I thought my thing to her would be holding up the P45 in front of her fucking face and going, "You see what that is? That's that. That is shut the fuck up and do what I tell you. Okay? I pay the wages round here. Get rid of the fucking dog. Or there's the door. Don't let it hit your ass on the way out."
Yeah.
Don't fucking give me the fucking talk back. Okay? I employ you. That's it.
Yeah. It does seem to be a lot of kind of, you know, I can't be bothered to deal with this right now. I'll just let it slide kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, hold on, you're a diplomat, right? Okay, which means you're supposed to get involved in diplomatic situations, right, and try and, like, cut a good deal for your country. You must be really, really shit in your job. You know? That you meet up with the, I don't know, say, like, you know, they're having a bit of a disagreement with the Chinese delegation or something like this, and it just rolls over straight away. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You have that block of land that we're fighting over here.
But when I come back, I want to see it back where you left it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you cheeky scamps. It's like, no. No. Yeah, you're my employee. I tell you what to do, not the other way around.
Yeah. I go with that.
Especially where the kids are concerned.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I'm sorry, you've got a that strange dog near my child, which I don't know is actually the devil or the devil's spin-off, whatever.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, so that kind of annoyed me, that bit.
Yeah. I get that. Yep.
Because I don't know, maybe I put myself in his position. I'm sitting there going, don't you answer me back? just do what I tell you. All right?
You'll feel my sovereign.
It's the contract right here. It says, shut the fuck up. Do what I tell you. Shut the fuck up. Reasons. All right? If you want to know why, reasons.
You'll feel the back of my hand.
You're not here to ask questions. Just do it.
Nice. Okay.
I'd be a great employee. I really would.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Unions, what are they?
Bet they're all lining up for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the creative deaths.
Creative deaths. I do like the creative deaths. You know, the whole the sort of like the portent there of the sort of like the photographs. Like, you know, they're all going this way. Like, you know, line through Patrick Troughton, line through the neck of David Warner. Yeah. You know, that kind of thing. I mean, that's a nice little lead up, a nice little thing of, well, why have they got lines through them like that?
Yeah.
Yes. I think they're about to be bumped off.
Well, isn't it David Warner's one is jagged as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just a line, it's like a shard of glass.
Yeah. Exactly.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the nanny's one is like a noose going round the neck as well.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that still remains good. You know, the whole thing of I see what's going on here. You know, you're for it now.
Yeah, it's something that the Ring nicked later, in about 20 years later, with the whole thing of every time if you've been cursed, anytime you appear on a camera or on a photograph, your image is all distorted.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah,
it's been nicked a few times actually over the years.
Well, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, you know, if nothing else, it is influential. Yeah. So overall,
well, you're right with the Final Destination one as well, because that was photographs as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just nicking. Yeah, that idea of, you know, there is a clue, but you know, you just gotta find it.
Totally forgot about that. Fuckers.
Yeah. Well, you know, creative deaths marked by a photograph. Yeah, that is pretty much the whole of Final Destination done in a nutshell, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and like I say, the Ring is the same sort of deal. Once you've seen that cursed videotape, every one of your images on a recorded video medium is all distorted and fucked up.
Oh, another thing as well. Getting at the end of the film, did somebody suddenly tell security that Robert the Thorne there wasn't allowed to take his kid out for a drive?
Yeah.
Because how did they know what was going on?
I kind of read into that some of the police were in on it, but that's just my headcanon rather than actually anything in the film. I'll be honest with you, because that was kind of implied with a few other people sort of getting involved, and you think, why are they getting involved? And then all of a sudden it's like,
that's because he killed the nanny.
Yeah, but they weren't there for that, were they? There was a guy outside who was just sort of walking past, and he goes, "Oh, he's on his way." It just kind of suddenly miraculously just decides that Thorne driving away is a problem. Okay. Well, for me, are you done, Dal? I just don't want to.
Yeah. No, I'm done. I'm done.
I mean, for me, I've got to fess right up and just say straight off the bat that, as far as it goes, religious horror does nothing for me, because I'm a godless heathen. Simple as that. The Exorcist, nothing. This, nothing. I mean, I enjoy it for as in a sort of same way that Jim does. It's a kind of hokey thing. It's a kind of little thriller kind of thing that you watch. But as a horror film that's supposed to scare you, no, doesn't push any buttons whatsoever. And in this viewing, after the Halloween one, where I sort of watched it and basically watched it sort of lying in bed watching it on the old digital device, kind of going, "Ooh, okay, I'm in the dark, ooh," with my headphones on. This time around, I didn't feel, I put myself in the optimum position for being scared, and it did absolutely nothing. And all I kept thinking was, there was lots of sequences, pretty much like you were doing with the nanny, going, "Oi, do what I fucking tell you, get the dog out the fucking house,"
exactly.
All these kind of things. But also the thing that really got me was kind of like, "Oh, you need to go and see old Leo McKern. You got to see Rumpole of the Bailey. He's off in Egypt. Go see him. He'll tell you all about it." And then you go and find him. You say, "Yeah, we've got the Antichrist. Can you give me these priceless artifacts of 9 daggers?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." Just hands them over. And next thing you know, it's like, "Okay, well, you know more about this than anyone else. You coming with me?" No, I've got some archaeology to do.
Yeah, digging up stuff.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, forget the apocalypse and the end of the world. I've got some rocks to find because there's a Mesopotamian pot over there that really needs a dusting off. And it's
so easy to talk people into stabbing children. It's really weird.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If you ever try to put my kids to bed, anyway.
You still had a problem with it. You told me I've got to kill the kid. I've got to stab him in the head.
Yeah. Well, that was my other big problem. My other big problem was purely from distance of time was the acting. The acting here was so 70s. Obviously, but Robert Thorne, being the fine, upstanding man that he is, didn't seem to be fazed by fuck all. "I've got to kill my kid. Okay. There's a mad priest in my house. Yep. Okay, this guy's just had his head lopped off by a pane of glass.
The change from Boys of Brazil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm a bit busy right now." He just seems so stoic for pretty much all of it, and you just think, really? And when Lee Remick dies and falls out the window and what have you, even then, when the emotions should be highest, he still just looks like he's reading over a particularly difficult tax return. It's really a case of, my wife is dead. 3 down, 4 across with a letter A in the Times crossword. And the whole film has that kind of very mannered thing about it. And when no one else is feeling scared, except for Lee Remick, who gets taken out quite early on, relatively speaking. If no one else is feeling scared about the end of the world, then you don't feel scared about the end of the world. And the only bits that I kind of thought, oh, something's going to happen here, it's going to scare me or what have you, was with David Warner developing his pictures, and I thought, I can't remember what he's going to see here. Hold on, and then no, he's just going to see a smudge, right? Okay, and the music goes, this is a scary smudge because it goes rectus dominus sticky up your assus, and you're like da 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 da, the music fornication, da, 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 da. And you're like, right, now what? And next thing you know, it's like, it's the end of the world, right? Okay. Okay, 6 words mean 6 letters means stuffed. Okay, everything just felt like everyone was just doing crossword puzzles on the train, and the only one who kind of goes off the rails on it is Patrick Troughton, and he goes so the other way that you think just 5 minutes of him just going, look, this is going to sound crazy, but allow me to tell you what is about to happen here and what has happened, and allow me to unveil the conspiracy. But instead he just goes, the number of the beast, scripture, and you're like, yeah, as far as trying to convince anyone of anything, that's like the nutter on the bus trying to offer you a bag of chips because basically your shoes are untied. You're not going to get the clue from anything that guy is saying. He's just kind of gibbering. And yeah, and the rest of the film was just was outtakes of You Been Framed that they couldn't show on telly before the watershed. I mean, like I say, I appreciate its place in history. I appreciate its influence because it's super influential on everything. But looking back on it with a modern view and not being into that kind of thing, which may be my own failing anyway, because like I say, The Exorcist never did anything for me. And, religious horror as a rule doesn't do much. And I just sat there just all the way through it, just thinking all I'm doing is watching some bored people trying to work out why they should get rid of their kid. And on top of that, what also didn't help was that one of my favourite books of all time, which is a religious horror but is also a comedy, is Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. And if you've read that and listened to the audio play and whatever else, there's so much that it sends up that you're just sitting there just watching it. It's like, oh, there's the devil dog. It's turned up at the wrong house. It's in fact, the kid isn't actually the devil and is now turning around and saying that you shall be called Binky, and it turns into a devil chihuahua. It's just, this film did zero for me. I mean, beyond sort of like film curiosity and seeing its place in cinema history, beyond that, it really did nothing for me. And like I say, I think if I was more religious, or if I was more into the sort of that side of things, scripture and apocalypse and Book of Revelations and all this sort of thing, but I'm not. And the most I know about Book of Revelations is from that conversation between Winston and Ray Stantz in the car in Ghostbusters. That's it. That's my entire Bible knowledge. Oh, and Genesis isn't a band with Phil Collins in it. That's the only things I know. So, did absolutely fuck all for me. And also it didn't help that Robert Thorne looked like my granddad on my mum's side, except, and so he was just kind of strutting around going, any moment I was just thinking he was going to get his woodworking tools out and we were going to just make some shavings and some blocks while he's sitting there going, yeah.
When you say it didn't do anything for you, are you disappointed it didn't do anything for you?
Yes, I am, because in much the same way as The Exorcist, it's kind of like you get this kind of, oh, it's really scary, oh, it's so terrifying, oh, it really unnerves you, oh, it's really creepy. And all I had was nothing. I just thought, yeah, show me something that's actually scary. Show me something that's creepy. What you're actually showing me is someone's brought in a dog.
But with The Exorcist, I can see why.
Yeah,
there's a trace of it. Why people thought it was scary. Why it made people throw up. Why it made people run out of the cinema screaming.
But it is the same. For me, it's the same reason. It's there are scary bits and creepy bits in it, but a lot of that impact comes from religious stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, the idea of a corrupt child is a kind of ultimately unnerving thing. Again, that's why in films right up to the modern day with Insidious and all these other kind of devil children kind of things, even like the Korean and Japanese things of Dark Water and The Grudge and The Ring and all this kind of thing. Creepy children are creepy. That's that is a creepy premise, and so both The Exorcist and The Omen have that going for them. The problem is that it's like anything. It's like what Jim was saying about monsters ages ago. You have a monster in your head, but as soon as you open the door and see what the monster is, that monster might actually do nothing for you. And the same goes for creepy children. Creepy children are creepy, but if the film doesn't do anything with them, or if you're not engaged in it, then that's only going to take you so far.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, creepy children, yeah, absolutely. Bloody hell, The Ring is one of my favourite horror films of all time. But, and it's got a creepy girl down a well. I'm just, that really fucks me over. But the thing is, that's because it creates its own myth, it creates its own environment, and then puts you in, takes you through that story of building that world. Whereas all this other stuff like The Exorcist and The Omen and all these other, even that fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger one where he's the lapsed cop, was it?
End of Days.
End of Days. Yeah, but all of those things, and that's shit as well. But the thing is, all of those things rely on you as a viewer to turn around and go, okay, I know what this is. I know what's coming. I know that hell on earth is a bad thing. I know, I've got all this vision of hell on earth because I'm embroiled in that world. I understand it. I understand the mythos. But if you don't, then it's just someone saying, "Oh, the world's going to end." Well, okay. Should I be any more scared of that than watching Deep Impact or Armageddon? Or
right, I'm going to ask a question.
Well, the thing is, actually, I would say The Omen actually has a lot of DNA with those sort of 70s disaster movies.
Yeah.
Actually, so that's something else it's actually probably closer to than The Exorcist, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
On that sort of pole.
Yeah.
On sort of cinematic poles of what things are near to.
Yeah.
It's very much just, you get a lot of big name actors, Jeopardy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, again, don't take... Yeah, I agree. It did feel like, you were just one tower and a big fire away from having Steve McQueen up the fucking top. But, and I wouldn't take it away from anyone who enjoys this film. Don't get me wrong. Same goes for The Exorcist, because I know there's a big following for that. For me, I just understand why I don't like it, which is I'm not bought into the mythology of the whole thing. So there. But what are you going to ask, Elton? Sorry.
Well, I'm going to ask a question about that I know nothing about, and that's religion.
Yeah.
Now, would we be classed more religious in the 70s when this came out, and so it would have more of an effect on us, even if we didn't really know that it'd have more of an effect on us than it would today?
I think it's got something to do with the fact that this was kind of a pioneer in its way. It got there before. It's like a lot of classic film. Some classic films that we watch that don't have much of an effect on us if we haven't seen it before. We've been force fed these sort of like the offshoots of it. With everyone else's attempts to try and remake that film. And so it's that bombardment you get, I think, kind of wears you down.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to try and get that love back again, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
this did launch multiple subgenres, this movie. I mean, The Exorcist launched a wave of people doing possession films, but this launched a whole wave of kind of end of the world prophecy films, spooky supernatural set piece death films, and evil kid films, which all sort of took aspects of the Omen and went certain ways with it. I think kind of when this, I mean, as you heard, this did great guns in the 70s at the box office. It was, it was absolutely huge. But it was. I think it's worth. This was made kind of very much kind of in the post Jaws era, and they were looking for something that would be kind of would appeal to the mass audience. They didn't want to get into the kind of hot water and controversy The Exorcist went into, which is a far more sort of serious and cerebral film, and I think it's sort of has a lot more sort of disturbing, sort of dramatic things in it. Where this is very much kind of it's dressing up in the clothes of a horror film and sort of delivering big thrills, big spills, and kind of. I say those set piece deaths. That's what when I watched it in the 80s when it turned up on TV. That's what we were all talking about. Was kind of like, my God, did you see that?
Yeah.
Being impaled by a lightning rod. You had that thing of people hadn't seen anything like this.
Yeah,
not to this extent, and that obviously has been much diluted over time. And plus the whole thing. I think on the religious sort of aspect. I mean, this kind of I don't think it deals that heavily sort of with the religious themes at all. It just takes some basic sort of concepts, and I think actually what there's all this stuff in the Book of Revelations. Really, I never knew that.
Yeah,
but it really sort of spawned this whole sort of modern sort of pop culture mythology about 666, number 666, the Antichrist, the Great Beast rising. And it's sort of, this was the inspiration for God knows how many heavy metal albums over the years, you know what I mean? And other sort of hokey devil films.
Yeah. I think also...
And that's something now is kind of, that would have been new and interesting in 76, whereas now it's hackneyed to us.
Yeah. Yeah, again, this is always the thing, isn't it? We are looking at. As I said right at the opening, the big problem is a lot of the acting is very 70s. It's very much, the hero has to be stoic and straight down the line, and even though he's facing up to terrible, terrible things, he still has to be straight and normal and. And
see, maybe I'm getting, but I quite enjoy 70s films for that now.
Yeah.
I went through a phase where I was finding them quite boring, and now as I've got older, I kind of quite like that. Yeah. I kind of like things with a slow pace where people aren't shouting and it isn't 1,000 jump cuts.
No, absolutely.
Maybe I'm too pipe and slippers, but you know what I mean? It's a refreshing change for me to watch a 70s movie that has that sort of pacing, and as you say, that kind of very mannered acting. There's something cozy about it that I quite like.
Yeah.
And cozy is the word, I would say, as well.
Yeah, very much so. That's the thing. I don't, again, there's places for it that I enjoy, but in this particular situation, it just didn't work for me. And the other thing is also, in the case of when this film came out, we're at the height of the Cold War. Apocalyptic scenarios were a big deal back in the 70s. As you know yourself, Dal, you're a fan of apocalypse films. Where were the majority of them out? Apart from Mad Max, which was in the 80s, but late 70s, 80s. But, the majority of them are sitting squarely in the 70s.
Well, I'm pretty sure Mad Max 2 came out around about the same time, because I remember being at Mum and Dad's when the advert for that came on TV. So
Mad Max 2, I think it's 82.
Yeah.
Is it 82?
Yeah. Mad Max, I think it's 79.
See, and
sorry, I'm thinking about where I'm living there. Yeah, sorry, sorry, it was in the 80s. That's right, it was.
But that's what I'm saying. So again, it's another one of those kind of environment things, which kind of the heightened sense of all this kind of stuff, and then someone produces a high quality sort of, apocalyptic film, whether it's a joke or a bit of a romp or whatever. But, those kind of films, there were, all the 70s had this real nihilistic streak. The heroes didn't always win, and you had the Vietnam War, you had the Cold War, and, the whole attitude of the whole thing was really dour.
So it certainly was the area of the disaster movie as well, when they were huge.
Exactly.
All your airports, earthquakes, towering bakeries, and God knows what. And anything could go wrong did go wrong.
Towering bakery.
You weren't safe anywhere. Airports, skyscrapers.
I would pay
boats.
I would pay good money to see Steve McQueen and Fred Astaire up the towering bakery. But so
there's a blaze on at Greg's. Somebody's burnt the sausage rolls.
Yeah, the fucking pasties have gone up. Woo! Nice. So yeah, I mean, I understand its place. I understand the environment it was successful in. But like I say, I think if we see another one of these kind of apocalyptic movies, if it's kind of that, if it's got kind of a religious lilt to it, I think my reaction will be very similar regardless of when it was made. So like the what's it, that remake of The Exorcist with what's his name, one of the Skarsgårds, I can't remember. But if we ever do that, I think my reaction might well be the same, regardless of the quality of the film.
Oh, you mean the Exorcist prequel?
Yeah. Because it came out and then it was apparently really shit, and then then someone said, well, there's tons and tons of footage, and it actually is really good. Once it got added back in, so there was a director's cut.
No, Paul Schrader made the original movie, The Exorcist Dominion, and the studio said, we wanted a cheesy horror film, sacked him, brought in that cinematic genius Rennie Harlin.
Oh, good lord!
Who used a bit of the footage and then reshot a whole load more and made something entirely different. And they released that, and it died a death. And everyone said, "Can we see the Paul Schrader one, please?" So they released that.
Nice. And how I take it you've seen it?
I've seen both.
Ah. And
the Rennie Harlin one is exactly how you'd imagine it to be. If you've seen other Rennie Harlin films.
Yep.
Flashy Dog's Dinner.
Yep.
The Paul Schrader film is more interesting, but you can tell it is it's an unfinished film that's been patched up and put out, and it's very rough in places. It's one of it's not good. It's interesting, and if you'd been allowed to sort of finish it and do it properly, we might have had a better film. But as it is, it's a cinematic curio, really.
Nah.
It's one to watch for curiosity's sake, and compare it to what the studio got Rennie Harlin to do. Okay. And it's more of an interesting talking point than a good cinematic experience. I think it's fair to say.
Okay, fair enough. Right. Well, I mean, has anyone got anything else to add? Because I have to say I've literally got nothing. I mean, everything I said was covered by Elton and Darren, to be honest.
No, I've got nothing else. I think acid flashbacks might work quite well on this. I'm hoping so anyway.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, fair enough. Well, then we shall move on to some feedback then.
Feedback. Send your feedback. Lots of feedback. Come on, feedback.
Right, okay, so feedback time. And so the first bit of feedback is the second piece of feedback we've had from Catherine Andrea Shukina. There you go, I think I've got the name right this time, and I'm not hopped up on coffee, so I'm not going to repeat it multiple times. So, Catherine writes, "Hello, Blackdog crew. This week we go to The Omen, and I'm afraid we have a sort of short feedback this week due to time constraints. The Omen is one of those movies that I'm familiar with, the remake, more than the original. So when I heard that this movie was up next, I rushed out and grabbed it grabbed a copy of it from my local library to add to my library. Watching the show, I was pleased to see that it had a good storyline and an excellent soundtrack to purvey the ominous feel. I was not bothered at all about the age of the show. Yes, the special effects are patchy in places, but what can you expect from a movie that's in the mid-70s? Yeah, Andrea, just so you know, we have a cut-off for criticising special effects, which is any film past 1992. Once you get to Jurassic Park, then special effects are a free-for-all. So, just so you know for the future. So anyway, she continues. I thought the acting was very good, and the child had a bratty, evil look about him that you would expect from a devil child, and he had that in real life as well. Although I don't think he said more than 5 words in the whole movie. If I was going to nitpick this movie, the only problem I had with it was unclear if the child or the nanny was doing the evil deeds, and using the Rottweilers as hellhounds was questionable. At least I assume they were hellhounds, but overall it was an enjoyable 70s horror flick. Not one I watch a lot, but I have no problems with it and will enjoy rewatching it at a later date. Well, I think that wraps it up here. Hope everything's well with you guys. Hugs, Catherine Andrea Shukina. There you go. Thank you very much for that, Catherine. Glad you liked it. Yeah, I mean, that's another one of those problems with the film, though, isn't it? It's that whole ambiguity of what Elton was saying. It's just like, is this people just being bumped off by the nanny, or being bumped off by Damien, or just being clumsy about the house? I mean,
I think it's the idea of the title of The Omen is the fact that, these weird accidents will befall you if you get in the way of
yeah.
of the devil.
Yeah.
Or if you don't watch what you're doing. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah. There's always an innocent cost, to the loss of life. I mean, that poor goldfish.
Well, you mentioned the goldfish. I bet some feedback has mentioned the goldfish.
Yeah.
On the subject of the devil dogs, actually, that's something that reminded me. Something that's actually always sat bad with me. I never liked the use of the Rottweilers. I always thought the dog should be absolutely jet black.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can digitally insert Winston in there.
There you go.
That'll be
Yorkshire Terriers as well.
Yeah. Pugs, pitch black pugs with Darth Vader helmets on. That'll do you. Anyway, thank you, Catherine, for your feedback. Good feedback as always, and we'll hopefully hear from you next week. So, Jim, who do you have next?
Next, we have one of our men in Canada from the Toronto secret bunker of the Blackdog. We have Mr. Eric J.
Mr. Eric J. And what does he have to say?
He writes, subject line, feedback for the Omen, or 668, the neighbour of the beast. Yeah, Eric continues. Hey, Blackdoggers, it's your pal and spotty correspondent in Toronto, hoping to get back into the swing of semi-regular feedback with some quick thoughts on The Omen. I think this is a marvellous film, a compelling thriller with a great premise, a knockout score, and strong performances across the board. I also think that director Richard Donner deserves great credit for telling the story in a stripped-down, straightforward way. His direction never calls attention to itself, though it does have some lovely grace notes. One standout is the scene in the hospital, where Father Spiletto persuades Robert Thorne to adopt Damien. Spiletto and Thorne are both shown in reflection against the viewing room glass, while a nursing sister tempts Thorne with forbidden fruit in the form of a baby boy to replace his own lost child. It's a masterful composition that conveys an inverted reality without calling attention to its own cleverness. He shows similar restraint in the famous "It's all for you, Damien" scene. For all its impact, the scene is over quickly, with absolutely no gore. Donner's focus is on the reactions of the guests and the Thorne family. Brackets and aside, that frigging birthday party. Even if he wasn't the son of Satan, young Damien is well on his way to being a spoiled little bastard. Close brackets. Of course, Donner could afford to tell his story in a low-key way because he had such a powerhouse core of actors. Gregory Peck, Lee Remick, David Warner, Patrick Troughton, Billy Whitelaw, and Leo McKern. It's interesting to note that, aside from Harvey Spencer Stevens, who plays Damien, David Warner was the baby of the group. He was 35 in 1976 and the rest of the cast aged from 41 to 60. And I think that's important. At first blush, The Omen is an enjoyable genre nonsense about the son of Satan, and it includes fun stuff like satanic cults, hyena mothers, and devilish but ineffectual Rottweilers, trappings that wouldn't be out of place in a Hammer film. To my mind, The Omen is actually about the consequences, or horrors, if you're really unlucky, of willful self-deception and bad life choices, the sort of thing we only really recognise in middle age. In fact, Richard Donner apparently told Peck and Remick that they could interpret the movie through the following lens. Your child died, you replaced it through some kind of crime, and the resultant guilt made you both crazy. No supernatural element required. Admittedly, this reading requires glossing over some bits, but it adds a level of depth that I think has kept people watching this film for over 4 decades. And with that, I'll say so long till next time, except for this final tidbit. In the early 90s, I lived and worked in New York City. I was employed in the marketing department of a publishing company, and our offices were in the Tishman building, located at, wait for it, 666 Fifth Avenue. I was employed. Cue lightning sound effect. Spooky, eh? Your pal Eric J.
AKA maybe this, maybe the office worker of Satan.
Didn't DC have offices there? Marvel or DC, I'm sure, had offices there at one time.
I think, wasn't it?
I'm sure I heard somewhere it was accusing comics of being Satan. It pointed to the address, going proof.
Yeah, I think it's also one of the reasons why the Marvel universe, because it's got the multiverse, they call Earth the Earth that all the Marvel heroes are on, isn't it? 616, which is actually their address or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Eric. Sounds like you liked it a lot more than we did. Cool. I mean, yeah, as you said before, there's lots of iconic scenes and lots of iconic moments. It's just, I mean, especially that "I did it for you, Damien," which is the world's worst clown party ever.
Yeah.
There might be some worse ones this Halloween, though. The way things are going.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. Clown comes up to me and tries to pretend to scare me. He'll get a fucking punch right in the fucking snot box.
Don't worry, Northern Batman will save us.
Yeah, there'll be a. She punch it right in the nose.
So what's that, Uncle Buck? the clown in that.
Yeah.
He gets back up again.
We've not done Uncle Buck yet, have we?
No, we haven't.
No, we should do.
No, that's fair enough.
Maybe we should have a John Candy sort of like trilogy or something like that.
Yeah.
We've done Planes, Trains and Automobiles, haven't we?
No, we haven't.
Really?
We haven't?
No, we haven't.
Ooh.
We haven't.
Okay. Uncle Buck, Planes, Trains and Automobiles, and who is Harry Crumb?
Yeah, we have done. Yeah, we could do that one. Just that's only.
I know one thing: when you find who owns that crazy typewriter, you've got our kidnapper.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that, Eric. Yeah. Well, I'll take the John Candy season under advisement. And let's move on. So, Darren, who do you have first?
I have Cole the Bastard Hurley.
Okay. And what does he have to say?
And he sends an email entitled, "What is this that stands before me?" And he says, or he writes, "Dear Lee, Darren, Jim and Elton. So, The Omen. To be honest, I was going into this movie with expectations of something. What those expectations were, I don't know. The film kind of fell a bit flat for me, really. I don't know if it's just me being a bit harder to scare or if it's just the film being a bit weak. I don't know. I'll have to gauge Elton's reaction to it. But that said, man, this film wasn't that scary. Gregory Peck was, of course, doing top-notch work in this film. He really aged fantastically, if I do say so. I hope I look as good in about 40 years or so. And the dogs that appeared throughout the film were honestly really adorable. I know they're supposed to be hellhounds, but I just love them to bits. Yeah, that kind of does detract from the whole scary thing, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a hellhound. Oh, come here. Want a biscuit? Do you want a biscuit?
No, look at you little.
Yeah.
No, twitchy face.
That's what I was going to say. As soon as Gregory Peck walks in and the second time when he's going to kill Damien and the thing's sitting there going, "Rrrr," I just thought, all you got to do is just go, come on in, and just hand him a ball. He would have been fine.
And he'll be happy.
Yeah. But anyway, carry on.
Yes. Anyway, that's really all I have to say on the Omen. I'm kind of lukewarm on it, really. I hope The Frighteners is is a step up from here. I'm looking forward to Hellraiser, though mostly because Clive Barker, and Nightbreed was fantastic. Oh, Clive Barker, and Nightbreed was fantastic. Okay. Anyway, this mail's got in enough directions. Take care, guys. Cole.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that, Cole. Yes. Good feedback, sir. Yeah. I think you know by now how we feel about it. I don't think you're alone there. As for the Frighteners, I think we were I don't know about anyone else, but I think we were hoping the Frighteners would be the light-hearted sort of peak before we descended back into Hellraiser. I think what I might do is I might stick a bonus horror film on the end, one that we all haven't watched.
Ooh.
I think it needs to be a creepy one.
Yeah,
that's the frightening one. That's the sort of frightening film that I get.
Yeah, I think. Well, I've said this before, and I'm probably going to get bungled for it by a bunch of horror fans, but I've never seen Session 9.
Nor have I.
Has anyone? Jim, have you?
I say ages ago.
Okie dokie. And Elton?
No.
Right, okay, cool. I'm going to stick that as a bonus on the end. I think that'll be our 5th week, which will be in November, which is typical for us. So,
yep.
You know, the day we hit Halloween and actually finish the 4 weeks of horror, well, you know, that'll be a day long remembered. So yeah, I don't think you're going to get terribly scared by the Frighteners, but you know, I enjoyed it. But we'll stick.
We always have at least one sort of comedy horror in, don't we?
Yeah. What was it? What was that Murder Train one with Telly Savalas one?
Horror Express.
Oh, that
Horror
was
Express.
yeah.
I know it's supposed to be scary, but it did make me laugh. Right. Anyway, so thank you very much for that, Cole. We'll move straight on. So, Elton.
Okay. Here I have Michael Crosby. He's a new feedbacker.
Ooh. So no pressure there. No pressure for
exactly.
reading out the first of his feedbacks ever.
Oh God, I'm going to screw up, am I? Sorry.
Yeah, too late now.
Sorry, Michael.
We're too far in, Elton. It's too late. Can't pull out. Go.
Okay.
Go.
Subject is the Omen feedback. First time feedbacker, please go easy.
Okay.
Hey all, first off, I just wanted to say that I've been a listener for a good couple of months now and have seriously enjoyed your podcast.
Oh, cool.
I've been meaning to write in for, some feedback for a while, but never seemed to have the time. So now that I have a week off from college, I feel I have no excuses. Indeed, you don't. Now, on to the Omen.
Yep.
It's my first time watching it and kind of went in blind. However, the first death, it was clear to me that time had not done this movie any favors. I feel like I've been desensitized by modern media, as all of the murder scenes seem to fail to scare me, disturbed or creep me out, and instead found myself laughing at the absurdity of most scenes. As a result of the unnerving atmosphere, I'm sure I must have had. God, I'm ballsing this one up. As a result of unnerving atmosphere, I'm sure it must have had. It just wasn't there for me. It's a shame because I genuinely think if I saw this at the time it was released, I would have had a much better experience. Most of the acting was okay, especially for the 70s horror movies. I think Mrs. Baylock's character was perfect. You can't beat a creepy, over-the-top nanny. And the ending was, well, an ending. Nothing special for me. Just one question. Do you normally hold a military funeral for a guy who attempts to murder their kids? Thanks for an always entertaining podcast. Michael, not yet worthy of a nickname, Crosby.
Oh, well, there you
He's
go.
got a PS here as well.
Yeah.
Shout out goes to George Cook for recommending the Blackdog. He has good taste.
Well, he certainly has. Thank you very much for that, George, and thank you, Michael. Yeah. Well, that was a good point, actually. Why would you give a 21-gun salute and a military burial to someone who was shot trying to murder their kid?
It's all hushed up. All hushed up.
He tried to kill his kid in front of a bunch of police in a church. I don't think that could easily get covered up, unless of course that you're that lady from was it Suicide Squad who turns around and goes, "Oh yeah, we covered that all up," even though like half a city had been detonated under a massive cloud.
Maybe he's working for the BBC. Allegedly. Allegedly.
Could not possibly.
It was the 70s, you know.
It was the 70s. Yeah.
Several high-profile politicians had big, pompous funerals, and they might not have deserved it recently.
Yeah, that's very true. Yes. Though obviously we could.
Moving swiftly on.
Yes, I was going to say. Oh, look over there! There's a monkey. Run away. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for that, Michael. And yeah, good feedback, sir. Yeah, I like I say, I think at the risk of repeating ourselves, I think we're all on the same page at this point. Yeah, we'll think a superhero name up for you at some point, won't we? Anyone? Yeah.
What I say is Crosby is his last name.
Yeah.
Careful.
So the Bing.
No. Well, the search engine.
Yeah, the crooner. Bing Crosby. The crooner. There we go.
Ooh, well, there you go. Wow. Okay. Well, now it's really hotting up because obviously Catherine, she sent in 2 feedbacks and we haven't done anything for her. Oh,
Right.
That's it
okay.
now. We're see, you've opened the door now, mate. You've opened Pandora's box.
Yeah, we see Mr. Crosby's one is quite easy because it's Crosby, so it's like that something there. It's got a bit of a hook. You see,
yeah.
So with a bit more of a deliberation.
Okay, yeah. Or if he wasn't moving and eating some potato, he could have been Crosby Stills with mash.
There you go. Oh, if he was a smash thief, he could be Crosby Steal Some Smash.
Yep. This is all good. See? He's never ever sending feedback in again, is he? Ever.
Nope.
We've completely done that.
He could be a supervillain then. If he's Stick Smash.
Moving on. Thank you very much for that, Michael.
Smash Man.
Right.
He's a right character. Crosby Smash.
Just stop while you're ahead. Just stop. Okay, well, our next piece of feedback, he says, trying to gloss desperately over that, is from our man, Mr. Spock of the USS Blackdog, Gary Madden, and he writes, ominous feedback. Greetings, various and sundry Black Doggerel. Last week I traded the unstoppable horror that is Michael Myers for the unstoppable horror that is a car salesman, and although I managed to come out alive, I'm pretty sure I'll never be quite the same again. Nonetheless, I'm back in time for week 2 of somewhat doubtful number of weeks of horror, and I'm glad to be feedbacking again. I remember seeing The Omen sometime in the dim past, and in 1976, I would have been 9 years old, which probably explains why I only recall a man getting stabbed, what I remember as a man anyway, with a spear, and a kid on a trike killing his mum. For some reason, I also tend to mix up The Omen with Amityville movies, and I guess eventually all these Devil Spawn movies kind of run together. It probably didn't help that at that age I would have been more excited to see Silver Streak or Freaky Friday. On a positive side, The Omen had some good acting. I particularly like Patrick Troughton as Father Brennan. Oh, with his Irish accent that seemed to be coming from the Lucky Charms school of... Sorry. Sorry, no, fine. Gary continues. It was good to have a reminder that he had a career outside of Doctor Who. Unfortunately, that's where my praise has to end. To me, the whole film felt, well, sluggish. It seemed to take forever to build to its climax, and I found myself bored more than frightened, if that's even the right term. Might be due to the fact that the monster, Damien, is a 5-year-old child, so the crux of the demonic problem is mostly a background character. Which is a very good point, actually. He barely gets involved at all. Sure, he knocks off the odd sibling with his trike, but even then it seems a little disconnected. By the way, I remember that trike scene being totally terrifying, but on a rewatch, all I could focus on was the bad physics of Mrs. Thorne's fall. She's hanging there for a second on the banister with her feet pointing downward, and when she falls, she turns on her side and rotates to face down before hitting the ground. What is she, part cat? I'm willing to overlook bad special effects for a film of this age, but not bad physics. Well, actually, Gary, I've got an answer for you there. Actually, she had, stuffed down her front, a piece of buttered toast. That was all it was. It just rotated to the floor. The plot also seems to be filled with many reasons that's why moments, and here's a couple of examples. Like when Miss Blaylock turns up as Damien's new nanny. She states that the agency saw the news of the previous nanny's suicide in the paper and just sent her over without asking anyone. Now, knowing that Mr. Thorne is a high-ranking US ambassador, do you really think there wouldn't be some kind of security vetting process before the nanny was even let in the house? Point 2. The devil's mark is found under Damien's hairline, but all babies are born bald, so why didn't they notice that when he was an infant? Yeah. Anyway, The Omen didn't work for me. I'll take my spot in the bunker if necessary, and meanwhile I'll be looking forward to another Mystery Monocle next week, and then one of my favourites to wrap up the month. Good work, my friends. Keep it up. Live long and never adopt a baby without getting a Carfax. It may have belonged to Satan. Thank you very much for that, Gary. Yeah. I mean, we've even brought up the Mrs. Blaylock thing. As far as the devil mark under Damien's hairline, though, when the baby was given, he had a full head of hair. Did you notice that? Anyone?
No.
Yeah, when the baby was handed over, it literally was like someone had just basically left Tom Cruise for too long in the bath to shrink and wrinkle, and then they just wrapped him in a blanket and just handed him over. He was just like all hair. It was like a Wookiee baby. Yeah, but then that probably makes sense. Satan is a Wookiee baby. Right, well, yeah, as I said before, I think we're all on the same page for this one, really. So no need to go into the bunker, Mr. Gary. It's all good. So thank you very much for that, sir. And we move on to the next piece of feedback. And who do we have next, Jim?
Next, we have the aforementioned Mr. George Cook.
Ah, Mr. George Cook. Cookie Man, isn't it? I believe we called him, or he's called himself. Cool.
I believe so, yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Cool.
And he writes, subject line, Omen, 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 keep those nannies rolling.
Nice.
Good evening, Black Doggy Stylers and Feathered Fiend.
Nice.
Another excellent choice for your indeterminate month of horror, and another classic, brackets, or is it, with The Omen. This is not a review, but more of a stream of consciousness as I viewed it. It's been a while, but the film started strongly with the ominous Jerry Goldsmith score, but within minutes it turned into this smoltious, cheesious score that it was cringeworthy. I hope they fired that nanny for hanging around like that at parties.
Oh,
Father Brennan says, I was at the hospital the night your son was born. I witnessed the birth. I saw its mother. Its mother was a jackal. None of that makes sense unless hospitals in Rome treat animals as well as humans. Mrs. Blaylock, what the hell does she look like and why don't they fire her? Windsor Safari Park scene disappoints as no baboons threw shit at the car. Journalist Keith Jennings discovers he has a magic camera. It must be as no explanation is given for its mystical powers. Did he borrow it from Paul Daniels? Father Brennan knows Robert Thorne's wife is pregnant. How? She just found out that morning.
Mm-hmm.
If you disregard the other films, was Damien the spawn of the devil or just an annoying little bastard? Damien, however, does kill some goldfish. Okay, that's truly evil.
Mm-hmm.
Father Spinelli's makeup. Oh dear, did they just throw some pizza dough on his face? Catherine Thorne's comedy death. Those ambulance rooms are shit. She went right through it. Well, actually, that does happen.
Oh, right, okay.
Although she wouldn't have come out the end, it would have been more like hairy jam, I understand, from accident reports my father's told me about. So
Oh, no. Yeah, back up.
Thank goodness for diplomatic immunity. For Gregory Peck coming back from Rome carrying 7 knives in hand luggage would have been difficult to explain. Not in the 70s. You could just get on a plane with what you liked back then.
Yep. You could smoke on the plane.
Sign of the time. Yep, smoke on the plane. Do it. You could get on them like buses back then.
Is it the cockpit as well?
Yep.
Yep.
As we all know from Airplane.
Yeah. Oh dear, Scraps is a boy.
Overall, it's aged quite badly and the plot has more holes in it than a Tetley tea bag. Anyway, that's enough ramblings of a madman. Keep up the good work. George, Cookie Man, Cook.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, George. Yeah, good feedback, sir. Yeah.
So on the knives thing, I remember the first time I went to Spain, because, I mean, if you go to Spain, there's all these gift shops, or rather, you used to be. I think they've probably died of death now, but they used to also sell all these replica swords and daggers and various other medieval instruments of war and torture made of Toledo steel, allegedly.
Yeah.
Just for the tourists, and people would happily bring all this shit home through customs.
Yeah.
It seems absolutely bizarre now.
Yeah. I remember coming home from Ibiza, and Spence had some money, and basically he convinced my dad, to basically buy a short, like, foot-long samurai sword and a musket. It's like
musket,
a fucking musket. It's like, yeah, and they let you on the plane with it in hand luggage. It's like, nice. Yeah, this man, this young child has a foot-long sword and a musket. Yeah, well, that's fine. Let him on.
I remember there was a school trip to Switzerland, I think when I was in the 3rd year, and all the class who was going were taking orders to bring back other kids' flick knives.
Nice. There you go. See?
Different times. It sounds just so mad now.
Yeah.
When they won't even let you take a fucking drink on. Or you have to take your shoes off to get anywhere near the plane.
You have to go on with your trousers hanging around your ankles because you've got to take your belt buckle off. In fact, just changing the subject slightly, we went through going to Greece, and Lisa had this knitted poncho that my mum did for her, and my mum had knitted it with this wool that had like sparkly glitter on it. And basically, Lisa went through one of those body scanners, the ones that look like transporter pads.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And she basically lit up like a Christmas tree. It was like within seconds, you got people sort of like standing ready with a gun. It's like there's an 8-year-old with a poncho glittering in the sunlight going, what? What's going on? And you can see on the sensor, it's literally like Predator vision. She's just kind of this bright orange glow. It's like, oh, right, okay. So, yeah, watch out for those dangerous ponchos, ladies and gentlemen. Woolly ponchos. Anyway, changing the subject entirely, let's get back to the feedback. Well, thank you very much for that, George. Good feedback, sir. And let's move on. So, Darren, who do you have next?
I have Gregory Madden.
From the other end of the USS Blackdog, down in the medical bay.
Indeed. And he writes, Hello, Darren, Lee, Jim, Elton, and the Master of Darkness, Mr. Owl.
Ooh. Hey.
This is Greg Bones Madden reporting this week from our shuttlecraft Galileo, for I am currently in exile from the USS Blackdog for not recognising our dear Captain Kirk's mask in the last movie. Of course, I should have known better, because any movie series with that much bad acting in it had to have a Shatner in there somewhere. But that's enough of my petty troubles, so let's go on to this week's movie, The Omen. Now, this movie is a bit of a mystery for me, for I remember seeing it as a teen, but I cannot remember much more than the iconic scenes from it. Well, that seems like a recurring theme for me in feedback lately. Go figure. For The Omen, I noticed just like Halloween, it took a while for the story to really get started. Although with this show, it didn't seem to pick up pace much until the climax, where it ended in a very predictable fashion. The show, for all its shortcomings, was good, but I think it could have been great if it would have been for fixing a few things. Some of the problems that I noticed was that it seemed that Damien's parents were way too old to be having a 5-year-old child. They were more like young grandparents than a mom and dad. Also, when Catherine Thorne was knocked off the balcony, she would not have had time to turn in midair, like they showed, especially if she was hanging onto the banister like she did. I believe she would have just landed on her feet and not fell the way they showed it. For my last point, I would like to say, as far as characters go, I thought Jennings and the Doctor, Father Brennan, were far more interesting characters than Gregory Peck's character. But then again, that's just me. Well, to wrap it up, I thought it was a good choice of Halloween season, and I'm more than ready for the next movie, The Frighteners. Well, better run. I just found what seems to be owl feathers sticking out of the air vent, and I better go check it out. Signing off from the USS Blackdog shuttlecraft. Cheers, Greg Bones Madden.
Thank you very much for that, sir. Yes, cool. I think we're all on the same page with this one, aren't we? Really?
I think we are. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to say the one thing I noticed was when Lee Merrick's hanging off the banisters.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Tom Hanks stuck in the floor in the money pit. And he's just hanging there, and he's just hanging there, and then all of a sudden he just goes, "Now all I want to do is just get me out of this hole, and I'll be fine." And she lets go, and he just disappears through the hole, just like. Zoom. Yep. I'm on the banisters. Oh dear. Anyway, thank you very much for that, sir. Good feedbacks, and we'll speak to you next week. So, we've done Jim, and so now it's time for you, Elton. Who do you have next, sir?
I have Robert Taylor.
Robert Taylor. And what does he have to say?
The subject is good omen, bad omen.
Yep.
Hi, guys. Considering the kicking I gave a certified masterpiece, Pulp Fiction, I'm aware that I'm giving the horror season an easy ride. But hey, I guess I'm using a different yardstick. Yep. It would be very easy to make a case that The Omen's a big pile of bollocks. But I can't. It's too much fun. There was a time where I considered The Omen merely as Exorcist's backward cousin. But with every viewing, the more I realise The Omen's actually a camp black comedy classic. It's silly, pulpy, ridiculously violent, ultra hokey, and has a huge amount of fun. Gregory Peck and David Warner give it all the gravitas they can muster. Patrick Troughton hams it up to high heaven, and Billy Whitelaw is pure awesome insanity. And what makes it for me is the brilliantly paced descent of American ambassador Robert Thorne into apparent madness. It's honestly one of Gregory Peck's best screen performances. Great stuff. Cheers, Rob. Sent from my iPhone.
Well, there you go.
There's a different way of watching it, isn't it?
That's definitely a way of watching it, yes. Yeah, so forget Atticus Finch or any of those other things. Him standing there looking like he's slightly bemused by the crossword. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, you know what? That's fine. You know, people, as I said before, I'm not going to judge anyone for liking it at all. It's cool. Absolutely cool.
I think it's good if you can watch a movie and realise it's flawed sometimes, but then see it from a totally different angle and grasp onto that. Not saying that that's what he's doing, but just you see it from a totally different light and then enjoy it from that light. Then good luck to you.
Well, it worked for me with Street Fighter, didn't it? I still think it's a comedy classic. I think. I don't think it's anything but. I think it's Raul Julia's finest, craziest work. And the rest of the film is shit.
Never watching that again.
It was a Tuesday. Anyway, thank you very much for that, Rob. Yeah, good feedback. So I'm glad you liked it. Right, okay. Well, let's move on to my last piece of feedback, which is from the fiendish Dr. Will. And he writes, the subject line is The Nice and Accurate Prophecies of Dr. Will Fiendish. My first stumbling block when watching The Omen is that I'm far too familiar with, there you go, good omens. And so I keep expecting jokes where they really don't belong. Babies should be switched by the chattering order of St. Beryl. A hellhound should transform into a mangy little terrier. A diplomat's son should be a slightly dull and ordinary boy called Warlock. And the sequel should have been called 668, The Neighbour of the Beast. That aside, I actually rather like The Omen. It's not the most fast-paced movie, and certainly by modern standards, but it has a lot going for it. It's a great story, and I really enjoyed the performances, especially Billy Whitelaw, who was able to sound so reasonable while being very creepy. I can forgive it for being slow because, although there are many scenes that were drawn out, I didn't really feel that they were unnecessary, and they did contribute to the story. There were places where I felt that the script and the plot were a bit forced, such as Father Brennan raving on until he gets thrown out of our office, without actually getting to the point of his warning, which is what I was saying before. And there was often addressed later. This was often addressed later on, so it made sense. Turns out he's just a raving morphine addict. I missed that entirely, that bit. In the end, all of the nitpicks I wrote down as I was watching it were addressed and dealt with, so I was really happy with it from that point of view. I found it very interesting that Damien didn't really have any dialogue of his own. Although he did speak, this is always in the background, such as saying thank you for the ice cream. I felt this was really added to his creepiness as his indirect agency in the plot of the film. He's also is the catalyst for all the bad things that happen, but doesn't actively interact with them. Even when he does his impression of the kid from The Shining, 4 years before that film was even released, he is still a passive character observing events unfold. His only proper dialogue, apart from the screaming in the church, was pleading with Robert not to kill him at the end. This one time he had to take direct control to delay Robert for long enough, and then he could return to the background to continue watching. While certainly creepy, I didn't find it a scary film. To me, it was more of a supernatural thriller than a horror film. There you go, Jim. Exactly what you were saying. Mm-hmm. But then I don't scare easily at films anyway, so I'm probably not the best judge of what makes a film scary. I do suspect it will have a lot more impact when watched in 1976, however. Of course, now I need to watch the rest of the franchise and that remake. Till next time, Fiendish Dr. Will. Well, there you go, see? Now we're going to the positive swing. The pendulum's swinging back. Thank you very much for that, Will. I'm glad you were taking notes. I think it's probably because I wasn't taking notes, partly some of these problems were problems, but I'm glad you liked it, sir. But don't go for the remake. There's no need for that.
The remake isn't bad, but it's just one of those things that's just totally unnecessary.
Yeah. That's...
You know, it doesn't bring anything new to the table at all. It's just kind of all right, this is nicely done, but why did you bother?
Yeah, a bit like the remake of Psycho. You just kind of shot for shot for what reason?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm.
And the only new thing in the remake is it had some dream sequences, which I quite liked. But other than that, it's kind of... So the sequel, I did like Damien Omen 2. Final conflict is noticeably cheaper, but it does have a young Sam Neill in it, being very evil, as the grown-up Damien, which is good.
Yeah.
And there is a fourth one that was done for TV under tenuous circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah, I get the end of the third one mixed up with the end of Halloween 3. And don't ask me why. Apart from Stonehenge and bright lights, I don't know why. I think maybe I just wasn't paying attention, if I'm honest. Right, well, thank you very much for that, Will. Glad you liked it, as I said before. So, and just, enjoy your franchise rewatch. So, Darren, who do we have next?
Okay, sorry, my mail's just been a little bit on the bloody slow side here.
No problem.
Here we go. Right, it's appeared.
Yay!
Yay! We got Fred Lubnow.
Ah, Dr. Scum.
Indeedy.
Self-named,
indeedy.
just in case anyone was getting a bit upset by us calling him that.
And he sent a mail titled, "It's all for you, Diamond. I mean, Damien."
Yes.
And he writes, "Hello, Blackdog.
Hello.
Hope your October is going well. Watch the Omen. Sorry, I'll start that again. Watch the Omen this week, a film I've not seen in about 30 years. Seen Omen and Omen 2, but none of the other sequels. Saw the remake a few years ago. Can't remember anything about it except that Mia Farrow was in it. But back to the Omen. All of the Satan-stroke devil movies of the 1970s, this was the least favourite. This was my least favourite. I always preferred The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, or, one of my personal favourites, The Sentinel over The Omen.
Never seen it.
Jim, have you seen The Sentinel?
I've seen The Sentinel. It's just weird and it's a strange skeevy feel to it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the portal to hell in a tower block, watched over by a blind priest played by John Carradine, and it's kind of it's more like, you know, like Rosemary. If you've seen Rosemary's Baby and that kind of urban paranoia and freaky people,
Yeah.
it's taking its sort of cues from that. Very much.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, carrying on with his email anyway. It was nice to see the Omen again, but it is still low on that list. The movie was well made, and the one thing I will say about most horror movies from the 1970s is that they knew how to construct a tale of fear and build a case for a person to actually consider the supernatural. Such careful and mindful construction of a supernatural tale seems to be largely missing from most of the horror movies today. However, unlike the other films, there does not appear to be some large supernatural revelation or perceived occurrence towards the end of The Omen. The skeletons found in the graveyard may be a small revelation, but it did not pack the punch found in other films. This is why the film is low on my list. Still, overall a good film, and it was nice to revisit after 30 years, particularly during the Halloween season. Thank you, Black Dog, and looking forward to next week's film. Fred.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Fred.
Indeed.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. It's nice to revisit. So, yeah, I'm glad you liked it, sir. I mean, again, you know, I think we're on the positive swing of the pendulum now, after all.
I think so.
So, cool. I'd be interested to see what he makes of the Frighteners. Right. Okie dokie. So, we'll speak to you next time. Okay, so, Jim, last piece of written feedback from you, sir.
Well, it's Mr. Gareth Lloyd.
Ah.
Subject line, Nanny Day Scare. Hello, chaps. Well, here was a chance to visit one of my favourite teenage horror films with The Omen. I haven't seen this for many years. I was expecting a ropey old piece of 70s cheese, but what I found was a film that has stood the test of time very well. All the cast were excellent, and the supporting British stalwarts, such as Patrick Troughton, Billy Whitelaw, and Leo McKern, all give fine performances in parts that could have been hammy and over the top, but they all help keep the story grounded, with the standout for me being David Warner, who really gives a part that is a little underwritten, a believability and a sense of urgency that drives the plot along. The direction by Richard Donner is top-notch, solid and unshowy, but it gives the proceedings a sense of realism and almost documentary feel that helps make all the religious prophecies and supernatural deaths more chilling and believable. All in all, in other hands, this could have been a very silly film, but its emphasis on story and plot, and not just on cheap shocks, elevate this to a classic of its type. Yes, it's a bit dated, but you have to give it kudos for story over jump scares that you get in most paranormal films. So, thanks guys for a chance to give this a rewatch, and I may check out the other one, but not the fourth made-for-TV effort. Now that really is a horror. Cheers all, Gareth.
Cool. Thank you very much for that, Gareth. Yeah, good feedback as always, sir. And again, you know, another positive feedback. So there you go. Quite a mixed bag this week.
Well, I think it depends on your sort of not tolerance, but your relationship with the 70s style of filmmaking.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can't comment. I mean, like I say, I find a lot of 70s stuff is very sort of very straight laced and quite, as you said, I think it's very cozy. It's kind of, you kind of know what you're getting. But sometimes that's a little bit too square for me, Daddy-O. Anyway, so that's all the written feedback done. So now it's time to move on to our MP3 feedback, and we'll start with the belly stapler, Michael Cornett of dustandcorruption.blogspot.com, and let's hear what he has to say about the Omen.
On the foggy hill rock stood a crazy little demon blowing his top, fire in his eyes and smoke from his head. You gotta be real cool to hear the words he said. He did
Hello, Black Doggers. Hello to Lee, Darren, Jim Nelton. This is Mike Cornett, the Belly Stapler, your man in Baltimore. Just watched The Omen. Yippee skip. This was a mystery monocle for me. I actually had never seen this. I read a novelization of it long ago when I was a wee one. And I guess just religious horror does not do it for me. I found this movie kind of silly and I wouldn't say exactly dull, but just not engaging for me. And also, I think The Exorcist is a silly and overrated film. There's some other religious horrors. Rosemary's Baby is okay. It is more interesting from a sociological viewpoint that you're watching this and thinking that, this is that same age when there's all this religious horror and all these depictions of people being powerless in the face of evil. How the forces of good are just either impotent or non-existent or just not willing to step up and do something, which probably drove a lot of people crazy. One thing that was interesting is how this was the beginning of the whole Antichrist is a son of Satan bit, which is not in the Bible, of course. The Bible only has that the Antichrist is some sort of false prophet. It never says anything about him being the son of the devil. So this really fed and informed a lot of the religious apocalyptic literature that came after that. This was kind of interesting viewing it from that viewpoint as well. But yeah, I mean, this was the start of this theme of hopelessness, that we just are impotent in the face of this cosmic horror. Which I'm like, oh, that's so much fun to watch. And it's also interesting from the reading some stuff about the novelization, since that was my introduction to this, that the original novelization had a number of sequels. Of course, they novelized the first two sequels. And it's kind of funny how the first sequel came out in 78. And in 2 years, Damien was now 12. And then in 1981, they had the third sequel. And in 3 years, Damien was now 32. Boy, he aged fast, didn't he? But anyway, no, it was funny because apparently they had a fourth and fifth novel after the Omen 3. And apparently in the Omen 3, Damien sodomizes a woman, and in the fourth book, she gives birth to a butt baby. It's just the most bizarre concept ever of, here comes the butt baby, But, oh dear, it's what the hell were these people thinking? So, religious horror, not my thing. I laughed when Patrick Troughton, is it? Showed up with the cross and everything. For some reason, he just looked goofy. And then when he died, he's just standing there waiting for the iron pole to come down on him. It's dude, move a few steps, get out of the way, run, do something. Don't just stand there going, no. The glass sheet death was pretty effective. I read that was very shocking for its time. Oh boy. But yeah, this is just not my thing. And some of it seemed really silly. And the scene of them in the cemetery, I mean, okay, most of the movie is very lavishly shot. It's good to look at, all that. Then they get to that scene in the cemetery, which looks like something off a Hammer film. It looks very set bound. It looks very fake. And also, toward the beginning, there's a short scene where the Thorns are out for a walk, and then they're like, "Oh, where's Damien? Oh my God, where's Damien? Damien, Damien, Damien!" And they go running off to the side of the river, and they're afraid he's fallen in. Oh, there he is, off to the side. Ha ha ha! I'm like, what the hell point did that serve? That was just an utterly pointless scene and had to be cut. It was just useless. There was a couple times I thought scenes went on way too long. I thought the movie was way too long, but it was just. Oh, and how the devil is really inefficient, because he always kills people after they give the vital information they need, not before. And why can't the devil just kill the Thorns while they're at it, if he's so powerful? What's going on? There's no justification. There's a lot of this that just does not make a whole lot of sense to me. But people love it. It's regarded as a classic. Not my thing. Not my thing at all. Sorry, guys. I'll head off to the Bunker of Shun with the rest of them. But anyway, that's all for now. I'll talk to you later. Hopefully I'll be back next week. See you later. Mwah. Bye.
Bye. Don't worry. There is no need to be in the Bunker of Shun at this point. I think you should know by now that where we all stand. And it's interesting. Religious things don't do it for you either, sir. So I am 100% on board with that. I like I don't even know where to begin with the idea of a butt baby. I really don't. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm kind of glad we haven't seen that in a film.
Butt baby.
Well,
that just gets my mind churning.
Really?
Well. No, I'm not going to ask these questions.
What questions would they be, Elton?
I'm not going to ask them.
Oh, it's too late now. They're out there. Come on, you got.
Well, okay, but
yes.
I don't know.
I think you're right. It's probably best that we just don't go down that particular road.
Fairly sure you get a copy of the paperback.
Yeah,
The Omen 5: The Abomination for a pound plus for a penny plus postage on Amazon. If you look,
yeah,
I'm sure that'll answer all your questions.
I think whoever owns it will probably just send it to you anyway, and just get it out of the house.
I know. I'm all right.
Nice. Okay, fair enough. Cool. Well, thank you very much for that, Michael. As I said before, his blog, which is blogspot.com, dustandcorruption.blogspot.com, is around. Go visit that if you like what you heard there. And I think there's no need for a Bunker of Shun visit, sir. I think we're all on the same page. So thank you again. Right, time to move on. And our next piece is from Doug Cartwright, and we'll see if anyone else is joining him. Whoever not Lou's joining him, but we'll see. Let's hear what he has to say about The Omen.
Hello all.
Hello.
This is our feedback for The Omen. So what did you think?
First time I've seen it.
What a shock. I hope you're noticing the pattern here.
And I thought it was rather good, actually.
Yeah, you seemed engrossed, completely engrossed. The acting in this is far better than Halloween last week. The acting's great in this film.
Oh god, yeah.
I mean,
miles better.
Gregory Peck's awesome in this film.
Good looking pair of eyebrows there.
He's got a very sceptical eyebrow for most of this film. Very sceptical. And Damien, I know you went to school with him, but he's a very creepy child. Doesn't have to do very much. Just subtle bits and pieces. He's very creepy.
Yeah, so it's all in. I think it's in the eyes and the facial expressions, isn't it?
Yeah, and the creepy hand wave to the dog. That sort of weirds me out.
Yeah.
And obviously the woman who shall forever be called Evil Maria from now on, the governess.
Man, I would not have liked her if she was like even my babysitter.
Wouldn't want to be tucked into bed by her, no?
No, I think I'd be tucked in within an inch of my life. I think.
She's very softly spoken, so creepy, just how evil people tend to just do a softly spoken voice, and that can just tip them over the edge for creepiness.
It just adds to it, I think.
Yeah.
With her character anyway, she comes across very soft, very...
Big smile,
yeah,
softly spoken, big evil eyes.
Deep down, it's
Creepy.
All hell's gonna break loose with her.
Menacing. The birthday party was one of your highlights, wasn't it?
I wouldn't call it a highlight. I just wanted one. I was a bit jealous, to say the least.
Very jealous of their merry-go-round and such.
Yeah.
No Ferrero Rocher for an ambassador. I was quite surprised.
I don't know what that means.
I can't believe you don't understand that.
I
really
don't. I'm
so
really
young.
sorry. You'll have to explain it to me later.
I will do. It was a great party until the obvious happened. Look at me! Look at me!
It was, yeah. That's not something that you really want to see at a 5th birthday party, though, is it?
No. Not, or any birthday party for that matter.
No.
Halloween, perhaps. It wouldn't be a good 70s horror film without a creepy priest or doctor, would it?
No, actually.
Patrick Troughton, fantastic.
He was a bit,
Out there?
I wouldn't say out there, I'd just say a bit mental.
Yeah, he was on drugs apparently, according to the story, wasn't he? He was taking loads of morphine.
Yeah.
So that probably didn't help.
No.
Early on in the film, now you can see the parenting skills of the Thorns isn't great, is it?
No. Even if it is your first child, you'd want to be there constantly, but not like palm them off to someone else to raise for you.
Well, walking down along the riverside, wasn't it? Lost him.
So who does that?
Parenting.
Who's as a child?
Obviously went to the Madeline McCann School of Parenting.
Oh no.
Too soon?
Low blow.
Low blow. Low blow.
Low blow.
The fight in the cemetery at the end with the Muppet dog.
Oh man, I love that. I love Rottweilers, but the dog that they used for its stand-in puppet, it was just so obvious. And I swear to God, you could see the guy's arm. It looked like it was like a bit of silver, I think, or grey. I don't know.
Might have been his watch.
It was just a bit like you got your arm and you're like grr, grr.
Woof.
Like,
Woof.
that was the highlight. I think I just looked at it, watched it, and laughed.
You liked the photo forewarnings, didn't you? You thought that was really good.
They were pretty good actually. It kind of reminded me of Final Destination, which is I've watched them films rather than the older films, but it kind of it didn't tell you what order they were going to die in, but it kind of give you an inkling of how they were going to die.
The beheading was particularly
like ever so
sweet.
Slightly.
The beheading was great.
It was actually. That was pretty good. And the spike.
The spike that he could have got out of the way of.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, literally just sidestep.
Yeah. One step to he could have time warped out of it. Been brilliant. Step to the left.
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, absolutely great film. Really, really enjoyed it again this week.
Yeah. And we'll have to watch the sequels during the week, I think, won't we?
Yeah, you really want to know how it ends.
I haven't seen them either.
Yeah, you want to know how with that. But anyway, thanks very much. We'll look forward to next week's. Yes. Take care, gents. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, there you go. Thank you very much for that, guys. And your appreciation of a fine pair of eyebrows and on Gregory Peck's part. And again, once someone likes this film, basically, as soon as they like it, they want to go and watch the others. That's kind of... Can you imagine trying to do that?
Yeah, I think it's good that people want to do that, though.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm down with it. You know, it's just suddenly the first thing that wouldn't spring to my mind watching The Thing would be to watch the Mary Elizabeth Winstead version. Sorry,
that was 30 years later or something, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, that's true.
In fairness.
Yeah, it's just kind of going off and watching the remake just sounds a bit weird, but fine. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much for that, guys. I'm glad you liked it. Like I say, I think we're on the positive upswing. You know, I'm loving this kind of range of opinions on this film. I'd be interested to find where everyone falls on a religious scale. I'm wondering if there's a correlation, just how much they're into it or not. What do you think? Am I just thinking things up? I'm guessing I'm just making shit up.
Well, if you look at the original box office for it, and kind of the viewing figures, the ITV things, I mean, I think this had a broad-based appeal because it had the likes of Gregory Peck and big-name actors, and that sort of drew people in.
Yeah.
And I think, as Michael pointed out, it does just take a couple of hints from the Book of Revelation and spins this own satanic mythology. And this is where it kind of sort of starts in pop culture, the 666, the Antichrist, and that kind of thing.
That's very
and
true.
I think it's kind of this set piece deaths of and big name actors have a lot to do with why this film had the impact it did. I think more than anything else.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, it is the big names. What was I going to say? The other thing, both Michael and these guys, Doug and Luke, brought up was the bit with Damien suddenly just going missing by the river, and everyone just saying, "Damien, hello! Oh, there he is." It does kind of paint the parents in a genuinely shit light. It doesn't make things any better. You don't really. I kind of lose the sympathy. At that point, it's like, really? It's just you can't even find out where your own kid is, and you've only walked like 5 feet.
Whenever I've walked along a either a canal or a river or a pond or even a muddy puddle with my children, I always make them walk in front of me just in case. And I think that's just a natural parenting thing to do. And this is just because they're so beside with their own lives. And is it because it really isn't their child? Would that play into it a little bit? They feel a little taken aback from that situation. Maybe they're just lost in their own gaze of each other's eyes. And they're lost in a moment. And then all of a sudden, hang on, oh shit, we are parents, aren't we? Shit.
Yeah,
and turn around, and then they're asking about Damien.
Hold on, I've left something. I can't remember what it is. Oh fuck, we're a parent. Shit. I don't think that really goes much to explaining it, but yeah, fair enough. Shit. Now I'm sure did I leave the gas on? I locked the door. Yeah.
It's Home Alone again, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Damien. Oh fuck. Anyway, well, thank you very much for that, guys. And, now it's on to our next piece of feedback, our penultimate bit of feedback, which is probably the feedback which will be the most authoritative, hopefully, on the matter, or all matters ecumenical, which is obviously the Reverend Organ and Anne-Marie, and that's Pete and Anne-Marie of the Borgcast, which you can find at geekplanetonline.com and on iTunes. And Pete obviously does Space Doc Jury with me and Andy Palastides, who's, probably still wandering around in his latex body sock. No, I hadn't forgotten about that. So let's hear what Anne-Marie and Pete have to say about The Omen.
Ooh, so The Omen, or David Warner's Close Shave.
I saw this for the first time a couple of months ago, and I would describe it as creepy rather than scary. Overall, I enjoyed it. There were bits that annoyed me, but overall, I enjoyed it. But for me, the standout performance was the governess, and she, more than anything else, is what creeped me out.
Yeah, she's good. My major problem was that I didn't. Gregory Peck, guy, he seemed pretty wooden for the most part. I didn't have any sympathy for him because. Because this rich guy who made this dodgy deal right at the beginning.
Yeah, and lied to his wife all the way through.
Yeah, I thought, what? Bizarre. And then you've got Patrick Troughton, who I dearly love as Doctor Who, but who told him to use an Irish accent in this?
It doesn't work, does it?
Oh, yeah, it's Bishop Brennan or Father Brennan or whatever. and he makes the schoolboy error. You'd think a Catholic priest would know that. And then you got David Warner, who that hair, man, I couldn't get past the hair. And it's apparently allowed by the police to trespass in Father Brennan's house, which doesn't seem very likely, really. But never mind. I mean, the kid was creepy enough, which is what you want, I suppose, from the role. Scarer of giraffes and baboons with his Hypno Dog, or Neo before Hypno Dog. And you can't blame him for not liking Guildford Cathedral, because that is a blooming ugly cathedral.
Yeah.
But yeah, the most effective thing for me was that the dog attack was pretty good. That was well directed and well staged. But generally the most terrific thing about it was the knitwear. which was terrible 70s knitwear. I don't like horror films that end like that. Evil's always got to be overcome, otherwise there's no point watching it in the first place. So it's a non-ending for me, unless the story's carried on in later sequels.
There are a lot of sequels.
Yes, but I'm not sure I could be asked to work my way through them. So
fair enough. Yeah, I mean all the sort of pseudo-biblical stuff.
Oh, don't. Just don't.
Is an annoyance.
Yeah.
But as I said, for me, it was that governess. She just creeped the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, for me as a horror film, I enjoyed it because it was creepy.
Mm-hmm. Catch you next time. Cheers, bye.
Bye. Okay. Well, there you go. That's the official statement on the matter. Apparently, the Book of Revelations is all to cock, according to them. Right. So, thank you very much for that, guys. Thank you, Amory. Thank you, Pete. And again, if you want to catch more of them, you can listen to their Star Trek Deep Space Nine podcast, which is the broadcast, which you can find at Geek Planet Online, and Space Doc Jury, which is spacedoc.geekplanetonline.com, both of which are on iTunes. Anyway, so that's that. They're not really fans of it. Well, Amory is more than Pete, but so there you go. A mix of opinions within a single feedback. And so we move on to our last piece of feedback, which is, of course, Drew and Tracy. And so let's hear what they have to say about The Omen.
So, this is the 6th time we've tried to do some feedback for The Omen.
A major audio issues.
For some reason, every time we do some recording, we're getting some weird spiko noise on this feedback. But
it's cursed.
It is, because we've just done feedback for the Orgs and it's gone through perfectly fine. But now we're doing The Omen. There's some heebie-jeebiness going on this mic.
So let's get over it quickly.
Let's do it quickly. I remember watching this film many moons ago.
Yep.
It is still a very, very good film, but for me it's very dated. It didn't scare me in any way. There's a lot of good acting in this. There's a lot of good, credible actors. And it is a good film. You can't deny it. But for me, it was just a bit woolly.
I think comparing it to Halloween, it's production values are higher, better actors, better sets. It's probably a better story. Well, it is a better story. Yeah, but I'm just saying that I think it's all a better production. It's just terribly dated.
Well, there's a lot more money that went into this, thinking that they've got Gregory Peck, and Lee Merrick, and lots of other good Patrick Troughton. There's a lot of good actors in this.
Very screwy face, old Patrick Troughton, isn't he? God, blimey.
He's a vicar who's trying to say, the devil has arrived. Yes. What do you expect him to be? Smiley McSmileface?
But I just think it's great. I think it's good. I think it's enjoyable if you watch it thinking this is 70s horror. It was good at the time, and some of the effects a bit ropey when he gets his head chopped off with the pane of glass. Yeah. But if you watch it knowing that, it's a good film, I think. I think it definitely helps if you remember watching it like in the 80s or whatever when he's a young kid. I don't know what people are going to... Perhaps if Louise with Doug watches it, they might just not be impressed at all. But I think it's good. I liked it.
I remember reading the book, and the book is as scary as the film was like 20 years ago. I mean, I remember being a big fan of The Omen, being really keen to watch like Omen 2 and 3, because obviously Omen 1 is like, the classic. But for me, it was more jacket potato than roast potato tonight.
Yes. I like the choice.
It was alright.
Yep, I like the film.
Absolutely.
It's an enjoyable rewatch.
Well, let's see if this feedback comes out then.
Yeah, hopefully.
Fingers crossed, guys. Take it easy. Bye.
Right, well, thank you very much for that, guys. Cursed feedback, huh? Well, everything else about this podcast is cursed. I wouldn't be surprised if the feedbackers were also cursed. You're all cursed. That's it. Get away. The devil's coming.
I'm going to pull them up on something, though.
Yeah, go on.
It's The Omen, not The Omen 1. Bugs the living shit out of me.
What, is that a bit like watching Superman 1?
Shut up.
Or X-Men 1?
Shut up.
What? I don't quite know what your problem is, Elton. Yeah, but I'm gonna go watch Star Wars 1 after this. Oh dear!
Don't you mean Star Wars 1 and New Hope Episode 4?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. The first, Star Wars 1, that one on the desert planet. Oh dear. Well, thank you very much for that, Drew. Thank you very much for that, Tracy. I think as you can probably tell by now, it's late and we've said all we can say about this film.
I like the description of it as a jacket potato film. That sums it up quite well, I think, for me.
Yeah, actually, that is very true. It is a kind of an almost ran rather than a full blown, sort of woohoo scary film.
On paper, it seemed like a really good choice, though.
That is true. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any reason why it couldn't have been more terrifying, but
because we all sat there once we'd finalised all 4 films. We all sat there going, "Oh, this is going to be really good."
Yeah,
really good,
really good. And as it is, we've had an okay one, a kind of okay one, and the next one, which we haven't seen yet. But there you go. So thank you very much for that, Drew. Thank you very much for that, Tracy. Good feedback as always. Kind of, like I say, you're kind of in the realm of pretty much every other feedback at the moment, and us as well. Kind of a bit meh. So thank you very much for that, guys. Speak to you next week, hopefully. Right, so that's it. Thank you very much to everyone who sent in feedback. Thank you very much to everyone who's listened this far and who has noticed that Darren has vanished, because he vanished during the audio feedback because he had to go off to the land of Nod because it is sleepy time, because he is doing early sleep work things. You know what I mean. So, yes, I guess it's time for us to wrap up. And before we do that, gentlemen, I forgot last week, so let's get your promotional stuff out the way. Jim, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you're doing this week?
Yes, this is called my own show, Hypnagoria. I'm coming, well, not quite live from the witch trials, but getting into the Halloween spirit by looking at some actual proper witchcraft trials involving familiar spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And this weekend, as we near the big day, I'm continuing what is now my annual series on the origins of Halloween. And this one's turning out to be looking at the evolution of the Halloween party in the 20th century.
Oh, nice. Sounds good. Cool. And what about you, Elton?
Okay, you can catch me every time there's a race on grandprixpodcast.com. I'm along with Andy Plastides, talking about the race that has just happened. Also, this week I should have had a episode of Shonkila about Lego. Happened, I got a bit worked up and ended up pulling the ripcord on that, so that didn't happen. But that's should be happening this Thursday, which is Thursday the 20th of October.
Ooh.
We'll be going live and talking about Lego, so join us in all the normal places there, please.
Cool.
And in the meantime, listen to the previous episode on Making of a Murderer, which is top-notch, may I say.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
cheers, man.
I started listening to it and I thought, oh, I'm liking this, and then all of a sudden I thought, hang on, I've got to back out of this because otherwise it's going to spoil it for me. So I've got it still on my phone, but not listened to it all the way through. So there you go.
Are you going to watch the whole lot then?
Yes, well, I think it's only fair, since it's been on my watch again list on Netflix for a while now.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
Bizarre
indeed. Anyway,
you wait until I get to the Hans Fritzl episodes.
Oh, for goodness sake! Right. Well, thank you for that. So, and of course, you can hear me on Space Doc Jury, which will have an episode on the Death Star coming out this week, which is spacedocjury.geekplanetonline.com. and on iTunes. So, that's all the promotional stuff out of the way. So what are we doing next week? Well, next week, as a part of our indeterminate length of horror, we are doing the lighter horror films of the season, which was Darren's choice, which I think really it was a choice because he didn't know which one to pick, so we kind of made a pick with him and for him, which is Michael J. Fox and Jake Busey in The Frighteners, and also Jeffrey Combs, and it's a film by this guy Peter Jackson. I think you might have heard of him. He went on to make a film about a bunch of walking tiny people and a ring.
Mr. Motivated videos.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you might have seen those. But before he did that, before some crazy people actually let him loose with, sort of several billion quid, he made this, a small horror film with Michael J. Fox. Has anyone seen this?
Yes.
Yes. And what did you think of it, Jim, roughly back then in the day?
Well, I remember hearing about this coming out and really wanted to see it at the cinema, and it, I think it only got a very sort of patchy release in the UK.
That's right.
And so I had to wait to DVD, and it was a blind buy. And I thought it was a lot of fun. And so looking forward to going back to revisit it.
Cool. And what about you, Elton?
No, I've never seen this. This was one of the movies where I wanted to see it, being a Back to the Future fan, and so seeing a film that Michael J. Fox was in, I immediately wanted to see it. And hearing my mum and dad hearing that it was a horror movie / comedy type thing, thought I wouldn't be able to deal with it, so I wasn't allowed to watch it, and really just never got around to it.
Okay, fair enough. So cool. Well, it's going to be interesting then. For me, I watched this purely because I was on a Peter Jackson tip. I sort of did Bad Taste and then Meet the Feebles, which I keep threatening to do, but we haven't done. And then I did, then there was Brain Dead, and then this was kind of his movie just before Heavenly Creatures, which was then the big step up to him doing Lord of the Rings. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I have to say, I really did. So I'm looking to rewatch. I'm looking forward to this rewatch simply because it's been a while since I've seen it, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again. So yeah, I don't know about Darren. I know he's got it on DVD, so I presume he's seen it, but that doesn't always translate. So we'll find out next week when he joins us again. And obviously, if you want to send in your feedback, now we've been getting a lot of feedback recently. So I apologise to anyone who doesn't make it through the door, but we do have a 15 limit. As you can tell, we are now sitting somewhere close to 3 hours. So 15 pieces of feedback is kind of our upper limit. So yeah, if you want to send in feedback, do send it in to blackdog@geekplanetonline.com. And yeah, join us all next week for Peter Jackson's The Frighteners. Until next time, take care. Thank you for listening. Thank you for feeding back. And we'll see you all next time. Tatty, bye.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
What do I pay you guys for?
I was waiting for Darren then. Remember, he'd gone to bed.
Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number. Its number is 666.